This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to round 3 of this relaunched Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series. Had a little break from Season 6, but a new injection of life and competition with the unleashing of more models of TCR on the iRacing service. The Audi RS3 no longer alone with its new compatriots, new competitors in the shape of the Honda Civic Type R and the Hyundai Elantra not Type N, just N TCR car. So 3 new cars for this championship. It's brought us such exciting racings in round 1 and round 2. It comes to Barber Motorsports Park here on SimSpeed TV for round number 3, and still bumper fields needing 2 divisions, 2 classes. We're just going to see plenty of racing action tonight. First off with the AM class, and then we ramp it up another notch for the top division later on. David Haynes, joined by Jay Kennedy. Jay, that is not Barber.
That is not Barber. I'll fix that up. But Barber, what a track it is. I absolutely love this track. It's so underrated. It's so underutilized and so underused. We're going to see some great racing, some great overtakes, and we'll see some fantastic racing throughout because this track provides some brilliant passing opportunities, some great side-by-side opportunities as well. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. That is
Barber. Oh yeah, for sure. So we've got some really interesting places to attack and race side-by-side for these kind of front-wheel drive touring cars. You've got long corners at 2 and 3, and then a big braking zone at turn 5 where you see a lot of the passing and a lot of the overtaking here. It's really set up by your run off the previous corners. Turns 4, 4A, and I don't know how they're quite numbered down there. No, it's turn 7, 7A, and 8. But there's lots of curbs to climb all over there. Some quick chicanes through turns 9 and 10, and then really, really long and blind corners at the end of the lap. This is how they're going to grid up then for the AM class here. Bryce Crawford, it looks like, on pole from Liam Banks, James Blavins, Joshua Barry, Lachlan Lawler, and Brody Shepherd for our top 6. And it's Farron Hancock, Nathan Verney, Max Donnelly, Braden Sagasar, Tom Hunt, and Jake Burgess. Again, a standing start for these front-wheel drive cars, still proving difficult and often creating some opportunity at the start of these races.
Yeah, exactly right. There's definitely big passing opportunities, big chances to lose heap of positions as well. As we've got Jeremy Bush and John Halloran, who of course won the first race last week on row 7. David Leslie and Brody Cook on row 8. Callum Heinrich and Liam Williams on row number 9. Row 10 is Matthew Harriott and Ray Harrison. Then we've got Craig Kerman and Dale Jeffries. Ira Felberg sitting in race control, so he won't take to the circuit. Format for tonight is a 20-odd minute race and then a 40-odd minute race. So the same as we saw for round 1, which means that we've got plenty of chances for moves to be done. 12-lap race for race 1. We go to a 24-lap race for race 2 with a top 10 invert.
There we go. Looking forward to all that racing ahead of us. Drivers right now just getting ready for this launch, ready for this getaway. I hear some revs. And we're going to get away. And that's a good launch from your pole sitter. Behind, maybe not so well. They're all going to have to really massively fan out down towards the fast turn 1. I swear I counted 6 wide there. As one of the New Zealand sim racing cars. He's going to then have to sweep around the outside. They're in each other a little bit. Lachlan Lawler is off the track, but he's going to get back on without too much damage, hopefully. Mind the rejoin, multiple lines through that long right-hander, and then, whoa, up the hill. Mind. So it's Bryce Crawford to the lead, James Blevins in second, and that looks like a pretty aggressive attack there from might have been Brody Shepherd. Josh Barry, I think, has made his way up into third.
Yeah, and Liam Banks was the driver that we saw go absolutely nowhere from second on the grid on that outside road. Just didn't move at all to come down the hill through the probably most fun section of the circuit, through the very, very bizarrely cambered chicane, and then back up the hill once again.
Different amounts of curb tolerance as you see everyone's still struggling for cold tyres. Relatively cool track. Well, I'd say pretty average track at 25 Celsius, and that might be suspension damage already there. Is that a problem for that driver? That's a problem for Max Donnelly for sure. Maybe was there contact between the two at some point?
Possibly. We'll see if we can get a couple of replays in just a minute, but Crawford's done a great job to break away at the front here. He's doing a fantastic job and absolutely out of sight from these guys at the moment.
Really challenging but rewarding track, not especially wide, not a lot of paved runoff. You see the drivers digging up a little bit of the grass at the final curb. It's not Monaco, but it definitely favours a lot of precision. There's a lot of undulation and off camber and tough curbs around here as well. Saw him run just a little wide off the end of that long corner there that Blevins might have picked up the throttle a little better for than running uphill. You've got to carry that speed all the way to a braking zone. The track drops away and you can send one down the inside here under the watchful eye of Spider Sculpture. Taking a replay then, look at lap number 1. And what are we going to see? This is going to be Lawler's little coming together there at turn 2. Yeah, locked him up and got back onto the track. But then what else happened?
Plenty, by the looks of things. Look at what's happened to Max Donnelly as well. So there's Donnelly. You can see actually a couple of cars off in the grass there as well. So has he made contact? No, he's done that one all on his own. But there's been a secondary incident here with Lawler as well. No, it was just the car of Donnelly spinning, but Lawler's already trying to make his way back through the field, and he's not doing too bad a job coming through.
Runs 13th at the moment.
Oh, Liam Banks.
More dramas. Yeah, more dramas for Liam Banks. Started second, didn't get away as he wanted. Now he's tangled, and two of them have ended up against the wall. Would be how.
Oh, I didn't realise we were on replay there. That's my apologies.
So Halloran in front gets a bit wide across the curbs. And then just kind of not a lot of visibility in that section there. There's multiple sort of blind crests, and it catches you out when you're racing just by yourself, but he might not have even really seen a whole lot of where Halloran was going from there. So a tough start to this race. Not a good idea either, because it sets the grid then for race number 2 coming up after this one as well. You will be fighting from much deeper in the field than maybe you would have wanted if you're someone like Liam Banks. For Bryce Crawford, he's happily trying to run away into the sunset here. James Blavin's going along with him pretty well. The action inside the top 10 is here. Josh Barry, Brody Shepherd, and Braden Sagasar. You cannot miss Sagasar, and he's trying to line up Brody Shepherd. Very
bright livery. We noticed that last week, how bright that livery was for Braden Sagasar. It's a great looking car. Said it reminded us of, or wanted us to go and get a Lifesaver Icycle. I still want one.
Freezer section at my supermarket is dire at the moment, so I'm not sure. I can't even get a frozen pizza, man. I'm not sure I'm going to get an icy pole, or it's going to hit the same spot. We're right on board, and it's closed up pretty well through that final section, and then, just a little greedy in the final corner. So easily done. No paved runoff there. It's Nathan Verney, who might be able to close up on him and make some moves, potentially. And then you got Jeremy Bush. Lachlan Lawler now up into 9th since we last looked at him. He's picked up a couple more as well, getting around Brody Cook and Jake Burgess in this group. And next on his hit list, maybe, is Jeremy Bush.
Remember, he started in 5th, got up to 3rd, dropped back to around about 15th or 16th. It said on the graphic there 14th. Remember, that's when he crossed the line, he was in 14th, so he'd already gained a couple of spots back and already back up into 9th. Remember as well, tonight, reverse top 10, so 10th position at the moment is Brodie Cook. He's in that crucial spot at this stage, but we saw how much that changed around last time we did this format.
Indeed. So, bit of a send there at turn number 5. Gets sent back to sender for insufficient postage for Lachlan Lawler, but he really had a go there, and Bush will now be acutely aware of how aggressive Lachlan Lawler is going to be trying to return himself up the order for a couple more positions. It has let Brodie Cook and Jake Burgess close in on this one as well. Plenty of Hyundais, of course. A very, very popular one of the new models. Bad looking, if I'm honest. Could be hit and miss depending on the livery, though.
Yeah, very true. The Audi still sounds the best of the 3, but yeah, I think the Hyundai, in a very, very nice livery, does look the best of the 3 as well. But the Honda's a really good all-rounder and hasn't quite had the love that the other 2 have got over the last little bit, but I think that that'll change once we see a couple of balance and performance adjustments in the coming months.
How about our metallic green top split TV friends in the Hyundais in the Pro division that's coming up later?
Very, very true. They are very nice. There's lots of very cool looking liveries out there in this series. It's great to see.
That 5-12 right now. 2 seconds lead for Bryce Crawford. He'll be pretty happy with that one. And maintaining the gap to James Glavins and leaving Josh Barry a little bit behind. It means that right in this middle of the field is where you find the action, and that's just so common for sort of touring car racing, isn't it? You might have someone able to break away at the lead and stretch out the field a little bit there. Just find a lot of drivers of a similar pace right in the middle, and the meat and the potatoes and the average of the field, having some quality racing.
When you got a reverse top 10, that's the position that you really want the battle to be focused around, isn't it? And at the moment, this is the battle for 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, so it's the battle that we really want to see. It's big moment for Cook there over the hill.
Easily done. You can't see where your track out point is till you're already sending it over the crest, across the curb at that section of track. The TV cameras, I think, understate how much this track, drops away and then goes back uphill through various different sectors. It looked like Jeremy Bush was being very consistent, but the drivers behind him are, on average, a little faster, and therefore they're struggling to get around Bush. It's tough to get around someone and make a move here if they don't make a big and obvious mistake. So the clean and consistent drivers are going to get their rewards here, compared to some of the other tracks like Phillip Island, where we kicked off this season with big slipstreaming. You can set up a pass pretty easily. Here, it's a slightly different story, and the drivers who might, not have that last crucial 10th of a second, but can be consistent and not make mistakes, this is a place they're going to get some rewards.
It's a very underrated track in regards to racecraft as well. You've got to be really on it to be able to make moves. As you said, you've got to hope that the driver ahead makes a mistake, or it is difficult to get overtakes done. But if you are legitimately faster, you can outsmart the driver ahead of you and force them into a small error to get through, just with the amount of switchbacks and things like that there are here. So very, very cool track, and one that I wish we saw a lot more within iRacing schedules. One of the almost original tracks on the iRacing service as well.
Way back in the day when Channel 10's 1 actually only showed sport, I distinctly remember at some ungodly hour catching a highlights package of Grand Am Rolex sports car series here with the old Daytona prototypes, and that was the first time I ever saw Barber, and I was like, that's an interesting looking place. And always interesting racing. Of course, the racing was very robust in that championship at that time too, and it's kind of what we might see a little bit more of here. Sagasar looks close enough to maybe try to have an attack. No, not quite. He's going to bide his time. And do you think then, if they're thinking about the race format, the drivers inside of the top 10 are going to be just a little bit more cautious than the drivers outside that bubble? Though in saying that, we get a nice close-up of the rear bumper where it just says yeet for Sagasar. So
you can already see Lachlan Lawler's pulled away, and he's already broken a fairly decent gap back to Jeremy Bush, who's now in big trouble in that pack. So I think most of the field is going to try and gain as many positions as you can, because if you hold off now, there's no guarantee that you're going to make those spots back in the next race anyway. So you take them when you can, be as aggressive as you can without causing incident, take as many points as you can when they're there to take.
Just watching these guys go, as Sagasar is going to get an opportunity to try to dive down the inside in the final sector here, then he's going to run it out wider for a later apex and try to cut back in again. I get the feeling that now the tyres have warmed up, these cars are riding the curbs quite differently to how they did on lap 1, and that's something we've seen at other tracks as well, I think.
Yeah, exactly right. And car setup definitely would be a little bit different to Phillip Island, a lot slower top speed, so would have dialed things back a little bit in that aspect and try and ride the curves, especially through that chicane. You want the car to be settled over that that off-camber section through that chicane. If you haven't got the car performing in the right way in that section, you're going to find yourself in all sorts of trouble. Interesting that these two, even though they've been fighting Shepherd and Sagasar, have still caught up to Josh Barry just ahead.
Yeah, a little podium battle going on here, and Sagasar starting to show a little more of the nose behind Brody Shepherd. Farron Hancock's, I think, has caught Nathan Verney in the battle behind this one as well. So this is, again, one of those championships, one of those styles of racing where you need 5 screens and 5 sets of eyes to keep an eye on everything that's shaping up, every pass that could happen. Because then again, behind that, Jeremy Bush, Brody Cook, Jake Burgess, Lawler's been released and unleashed. And now it's sort of time for Cook and Burgess to try to pick some positions if they can.
Lawler's actually catching these guys as well. There might not be enough time left in this first race, but it's going to put him in a good position for race 2. Lachlan Lawler, the fastest out of the top 10 other than the lead 2 cars. So Lachlan Lawler starting next race from provisional 3rd at the moment. He's lining up for potentially a good result. Remember, pit stop required in race 2 as well, which is going to add some extra elements to that race as well. Some extra strategy as Brody Cook has some tech issues. He's back again.
Yeah, so only drivers it looks like we're missing from this one is Max Donnelly and Liam Banks look parked. David Leslie's come back out on track. And we do still have Brody Cook. Got to feel a bit of pressure from Jake Burgess now, though, because it is 4 laps to go, and Cook is in that coveted 10th place inverted pole position. Burgess was probably willing to wait to see if Cook was going to get around Jeremy Bush, but I think whoa, that is super wide in really deep for Brody Cook. It's not going to go punished, but I think Burgess's patience for this starts to wear thin now. We're counting down towards the end of race number 1.
Sagasar not quite close enough. Hancock's not quite close enough, but as you said, Jake Burgess, this is a huge position for him to gain too, because he starts pole or starts 11th, depending on where he is. 1 spot ahead is a huge advantage for race 2. And that's a huge moment coming out of the uphill section over the hill.
Really different work on the brake pedals as well. I thought there was Morse code in the brake lights for Burgess there through the final sector, just using a little bit of pressure to try to help the car rotate, whereas Brody Cook trying to hold on to this 10th position might be sending it into the corners a little bit deeper and then struggling for some of the rotation and that movement in the front wheel drive car that can happen when you overdrive them a little bit. Super close here in the battle for 10th and 11th. Remember, 10th gets pole position for race number 2. 11th starts 11th. So look down the inside of the hairpin. Best overtaking opportunity. And again, almost looks like Brody Cook outbrakes himself a little bit. Looked a little easy for Jake Burgess in the end there.
Big thing about this track, though, is once you are overtaken, you give yourself a very good opportunity to come straight back. But Cook just couldn't quite get the drive out of the turn 5 hairpin and has given up a little bit of ground, and he's actually starting to lose even more time. So feeling a bit of pressure now is Brody Cook. Now, at the moment, looks like he's going to start race 2 from position 11.
Well, it will be interesting to see how it all is by the end of this race. There are going to be 2 laps to go when they cross the line in a second here. Again, good 3-car fight here. Barry, Shepherd, Sagasar, all of them playing dear with that grass on the final corner. Very, very easy to end up out there. Through turn 1, you can really maximize that corner, but then be on a compromised line for 2 and 3, or sort of be a little gentle into turn 1 and then try to get a good line and a good run through the long right-hander that follows. Here is Shepherd taking a look. He's seen some other drivers send the move down the inside there, but didn't feel quite close enough or confident enough to try it this time.
Really got to time it perfectly when you're that car in the middle too, because if you don't time it right, you're going to leave yourself open to that driver behind. So Sagasar saw that and thought, I'll just sit back, watch, wait and see what happens, potentially try and steal a spot. I love that downhill section though. How cool is it when they're going down the hill like that?
Kind of feels like it maybe takes away a passing opportunity, but it is a really challenging corner to almost turn in before you brake and then try to carry the right amount of brake across one curb, the second curb, hook a little bit of the camber into the right-hander next to the museum. And Porsche Experience Center, I don't know, there's something like that for Porsche here. They do a lot of days and HPDEs and whatever, but it's the start of the final lap for Bryce Crawford. Started first, running first, led every lap so far, I think, because Liam Banks alongside him on the grid didn't get away particularly well. Sagasar looking one way, looking the other in this battle over 3rd, 4th and 5th that are really going to, I think, leave it all on the track here on the final lap.
Going to be a pretty intense battle for 5th, you would feel. While we're watching this battle for 10th and 11th is still ongoing, but it's a little bit more stretched out than it was. Sagasar's not close enough. Shepherd's not close enough. Neither of them could quite get the drive they needed out of that turn 1, 2, 3 section. Oh, it's Brody Cook's made a mistake.
Problem. Yeah, it was a problem for Cook there. And a problem for Shepherd as well. Sagasar was all over him in this fight. Sagasar's not been able to get around, and you run out of places to make a move here, and this car's almost flat out, it would seem, through the fast chicane on the back straight here. There's no big straight line braking zones between now and the end of the lap. You've got to force your opponent into a mistake in that final sector. Maybe they run wide at the penultimate corner. That's one of the places you can make a move. Barry, I think, under less pressure here. Sagasar across every curb he can get his hands on. It's not going to be a worry at all for Bryce Crawford, as he's going to take the points for the win in race number 1. Good race from Blavins there in second as well. And no chance of an attack at the end behind Joshua Barry for Brody Shepherd or Braden Sagasar. Fernie and Hancock's no move there. Lawler got himself up in 9th, Lawler got himself up in 8th, Bush in 9th, and that inverse top 10 goes to Jake Burgess, Brody Cook, on the outside.
See if we can pick up a replay in a moment of what happened to Brody Cook as well, but that was a pretty cool race and great to see. Such a clean race as well. I mean, we had a couple of little moments at the start, but other than that, it was a very, very good race.
Yeah, so Bryce Crawford with the win, James Blavins and Josh Barry completing the podium. Brody Shepherd, Braden Sagasar, Nathan Verney, Farron Hancock, Lachlan Lawler, Jeremy Bush, and Jake Burgess. You take that top 10 and you flip them for the starting grid of race number 2. Everyone else starts as they finished. Brody Cook, Tom Hunt, Matthew Harriott, Callum Heinrich, John Halloran, Leon Williams, Ray Harrison, Craig Kermond, Max Donnelly, and David Leslie. Lee Banks, I think. So RF Alberg and Dale Jeffries both race control?
Possibly. RF Alberg definitely is. I'm not sure about Dale, but yeah. I enjoyed that race. It was a very, very good race. Some great battles. Some interesting strategy that we'll probably see in this one, because drivers now know what they have to and not to do when it comes to making overtakes and where you can and where you can't make them.
We think back to Phillip Island. It's such a ridiculous slipstream on the pit straight there, leaving the final corner in 5th gear at like 200 and something kilometers an hour already. Two drivers would just slingshot and swap and swap and swap and swap off each other as the race went on. You were thinking, about the strategy and the car placement and counting back how many laps were remaining. Here, very different style of racing for the turbo front-wheel drive touring cars, passing very much at a premium. Not impossible, not, ridiculous, but still not a guarantee if the driver in front of you is just consistent and can't be easily fooled into a mistake. So that does turn a little bit of the strategy on its head when the emphasis that you place on track position has now got to be so much more important than it was in the opening 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think we'll see smart racecraft and smart strategy really play key to who might take out this race win coming up. It's going to be very, very interesting. 40 minutes, 24 laps of racing. It's going to be very, very cool to watch. Interesting too there, you just saw a little bit of a puff of smoke in the top of the screen on the top left. That was Tom Hunt, who pulled up out the front of the Hall of Fame, the museum. Decided to do a couple of practice starts. Now, not many drivers we see these days actually do practice starts, so good to see some drivers thinking about that as something that they really should be doing at this stage.
It's been pretty defining. I mean, other Aussie car championships like Thursday night's Skip Barber series, everyone revs the hell out of it with full throttle, dumps the clutch, and then everyone just bogs down and gets a pretty even getaway, depending on, reaction times plus or minus 50 milliseconds kind of thing. Here, there's a lot of work and a variability to getting them away, and there's always someone who's like, oh no, they didn't go anywhere, and someone who gets a lightning start and really can grab a couple positions before turn 1. Are we too late in the day to see if we went 6 wide into turn 1 for race number 1?
I was actually thinking we should go back and have a look at that race 1, because I did want to see the start again with Liam Banks getting that horrible launch off the start, and then from there, I think I might be able to get a replay of it.
Well, Jay Kennedy's finding that the Barber Vintage Motorsport Museum is open Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. through 5 p.m. It's a contemporary glass-enclosed setup for 1,200 plus motorcycles and race cars with adjacent road course. That was 6 wide, right?
Yes, 7 wide. That was Banks. It was absolutely swamped. It went all the way back to 7th. There's Lawler getting pushed wide. Absolutely horrible start. Why was it so bad? Watch how many cars just swamp him in.
Yeah, wheel spinning it a little bit there, I think. Yeah, I mean, from every direction, it's savage. You've got 4 cars there that have gotten past him, now 5 with NZSR around the outside. He's lucky he gets some of that back, actually.
Yep. But then remember, it didn't last too much longer, because then ended up in the wall the lap following with that incident as well. So not a great start, but we'll see if you can recover in race 2. A couple of drivers out on track actually practicing, but not too many.
I'm reading reviews of that museum.
I actually had a little look before. There's a very, very cool motorbike museum as part of it.
On Google, 3,200 reviews for an average of 4.9 stars.
Wow.
That's, honestly, anytime you see Google reviews of anything, there's always like a bunch of 5-star reviews, bunch of 4-star reviews, and always a handful of 1-star reviews, because people who are motivated to write reviews online are normally pretty salty, sad people. Well, some of them. But no, not for that museum. 3,200 views, and everyone's like, wow, love me some motorcycles, and there's great parking. I even managed to fit my RV here. So great holiday detour. Take the Fam Bam to the museum at Barber. This is how the grid's going to look like for race number 2, the longer race for the AM division of Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series. Remember, pros for the same race format coming up after this as well. No shortage of TCR action here. So Jake Burgess gets the Lucky Dips best prize to go to pole position with Jeremy Bush in second, then Lachlan Lawler, Farron Hancock's, Nathan Verney, and Braden Sagasar in the Lollipop livery. Brody Shepherd, Josh Barry, James Blavins, and Bryce Crawford, our inverted drivers. The rest as they finished race number 1. Here we go, though. All drivers on the grid. Smoke in the air. Barney waving the green flag. And once again, a lot of variation to the launch, but your pole sitter getting away super cleanly. Lawler with a bit of contact in turn 1 and in turn 2 for a couple races in a row now. He's got his inside line for the long right-hand corner, and everyone, once again, on those cold tyres, got to navigate carefully, be careful with the curbs, and in close proximity with the other drivers.
Much better start from everyone. That the only real change of positions at the front were with the driver beside them, so we didn't have any drivers dropping back, as Farron Hancock's is the only one that's lost ground, which was after that little tap with Lachlan Lawler. No malice, no intent in that one, as Sagasar looks to make this move on Nathan Verney, won't get it done.
Through Jay's favourite corners they go, all single file, and behind Lawler, Farron Hancock's, I think, got a really good run and almost gave a nudge to Brody Shepherd, who's up 1 spot into 6th. Bush was difficult to force into a mistake in race number 1. Now he's at the lead, having got a good launch from second on the grid. I think he's going to be tough to dislodge from maybe even the top 5 in this race if he has a good strategy.
Agreed. I mean, he didn't have the outright pace, but he had great racecraft, great lines, and extremely consistent in race 1. So consistency is a big thing to have at this track. If you're consistent all the way around the track, you're very, very tough to overtake. You've got to be a lot faster if you want to be able to get overtakes done. Pit window open. Of course, opens very, very quickly. Liam Banks straight in.
From towards the rear of the field as well, wasn't it? So not a bad choice, I think, in a longer race like this, if you were already relatively deep in the field with, as we say, passing at a premium. Lap in the books, and on lap number 2, confidence, tyre pressure, tyre temperature, all building. I think it's going to enable Nathan Verney to maybe have a look at Jake Burgess up the front there. Sagasar's made some spots, and Farron Hancock's is being helped around the outside by Josh Barry.
He's lost another spot here to James Blavins as well, as Burgess defends from Verney. No move going to happen yet. Farron Hancock's back through on James Blavins, so despite getting shuffled wide, losing 1 spot, losing 2. Oh, Leo, he's lost that spot anyway. That was a bit aggressive there.
Going to help him to the museum entry.
Side by side through this kink doesn't usually work, and the driver on the inside there, Bryce Crawford, gets out of it to make sure there's no contact.
Huge amount of momentum as well through what's normally relatively flat out, going side by side, needing to grab a little bit of the brakes. It works out for Farron Hancock though, as it's Brody Cook behind Bryce Crawford, and John Halloran's up a couple spots too. Super close racing. More drivers for pit lane. But Verney's got to try to defend his 4th place from Lachlan Lawler. I think Sagasar's gotten around him in the last lap as well.
Yeah, Sagasar got through turn 13, 14, so through that last little section, we saw Verney stuck on the outside, and that's allowed Lawler to get through as well. That was the car of Josh Barry, who's come into the pit, so second driver to make a pit stop. Remember, they have to change their front tyres, so pitting extremely early or extremely late, usually the preferred strategy in this series, because you want to capitalise the amount of time you've got on hot front tyres as opposed to very, very cold ones.
Yeah, and they're not going to worry too much about lap traffic either in this. A little bit of side by side here. Behind Farron Hancock, so it's Bryce Crawford, Brody Cook, and John Halloran then in the Audi with the Mazda sponsorship. Not an uncommon sight necessarily. My favourite was Le Mans the other year, and there was one of the LMP2s that had a sponsorship decal for Ringwood Mazda. Not Mazda, just Ringwood Mazda. And I don't know. I love just a tiny local sponsor on a Le Mans car.
On for the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We knew there was a bunch of drivers with a little bit more car speed than Jeremy Bush, but that he was going to get tough to get around. Now that Burgess has been able to do it, Sagasar's next to put the pressure on. And Bush is going to need to be a little careful here, because Lawler and Nathan Verney are looming. And as Lawler tries to have a look, Verney almost put his nose down the inside. It's a bit of a train up front still, which is interesting to see. Could be to the benefit of those who pit early if having those guys who got the top 10 invert up the front proved difficult to pass, but Lawler is now capitalising. Reigns at pause for Jeremy Bush. He's lost three positions in just a couple corners.
Yeah, I think that if you're stuck behind someone or like the likes of Nathan Verney, who was shuffled back,
Sagasar manages to grab the lead too as well.
Yeah, just stole it through the hairpin and held on to it. But I think if you're stuck in this packy, you have to pit early, because you're just going to get held up with the amount of traffic that there is in this group. Those guys behind are all in clear air. Liam Banks matched these guys lap time wise last lap, and all of this overtaking, shuffling and pushing around is going to slow these guys down a lot.
It's good racing though.
It is good.
Pretty respectful so far as well, which I really do hope continues. We're into round 3 now. I mean, it's the same drivers that have been racing wheel to wheel with each other for 5-6 races now. As you see a couple more cars die for that pit entry. Pit lane speed limit doesn't start until you're all the way around the corner. Here, we've got a very curvy Okayama situation.
You can see that Josh Barry was on the brake a little early when he came in for his stop. As Burgess now through on Jeremy Bush. They completed, and actually, Bush and Lawler have changed position. Burgess and Lawler. So Lawler through into second position.
Sure, when you reformatted your hard drive, you didn't.
I think I might have reformatted my brain too by the.
Almost a bit of contact there between second and third as Burgess tried to come back at Lawler, got a little bit of a squeeze, and that's really hurt his momentum. There's other drivers trying to take a look, but he's going to defend that inside at turn 7 here, which is so easily done because it's not a huge braking zone and it's really one line bouncing across the curbs through there. Blevins, I think it would be, is behind Nathan Verney, reunited with his teammate in Jeremy Bush.
This is interesting.
Yeah, Barry and Shepherd, 2 drivers who've pitted, haven't they?
Yeah, so they've actually come out together. So if they work together, they could jump this whole field. So I'm sure someone is relaying that. That's a huge moment there for Jake Burgess off in the grass.
Keeps it off the wall. He's going to rejoin, but again, placed with very limited visibility through the final sector there. Knowing how he was racing everyone else, I mean, he could have done that himself. I've done that all by myself and gone out there to try to inspect some more of the sculptures, but there's 2 types of people. People who've done that here at Barber and liars. But yeah, there's also a place he could have gotten a bit of help. So he's gone and put Jeremy Bush back up into third. And he's gone and thrown it off the wall, thrown it off the track into the grass. Nathan Verney's followed him as well. Now super wide between 2 and 3. Bit of Audi side by side. Where do you go if you're James Blevins?
You just have to trust your instinct to go to the middle, I think. But he's going to get the second spot as well, so he'll jump into third here, you would think, under brakes. You see in the background there too, John Halloran's like, nah, I don't want to be a part of this. He swung out really wide. And with the check up in the middle, he's actually going to get Jake Burgess because Burgess was so slow, stuck in the middle of that group. Halloran, from just saying, no, I'm not getting involved in this, gains a spot.
Oh, fantastic. And you know what? I love you get that shot. There's just another 5-6 cars all lined up behind this battle saying, about time then. What have we got? It's about 8 seconds for our top 13 and we're running lap 6 right now. So, yeah, good stuff. Stuff all around. I'm loving it. David Leslie is that 13th place car in the 666. Started 20th, running 13th, so it says.
3rd to 13th separated by 9 seconds. Sorry, 5 seconds if my maths work. Yeah, definitely formatted my brain.
Well, I hope you find some new drivers for it that hopefully improve performance.
Download some software updates.
Zagasar's leading up front. He's got Lachlan Lawler bearing down on him. Lawler clearly seems to be the pace of the field here at Barber with that Hyundai. Didn't quite get the rub of the green, race number 1. I think if he gets around Zagasar and he gets, another 10 clean laps before he needs to pit, it's going to be tough to stop Lawler. There's still, a handful of drivers in contention for this win. Farron Hancock's in yellow, is in behind one of those Pool Care Hyundais. Takes the defensive line. O'Halloran's looking for the inside there as well. He's just silently snuck his way to the front of this pack somehow, Halloran.
He's been the quiet achiever, hasn't he? He did that last week too in race 1 at Barcelona. Just stayed out of trouble and all of a sudden found himself in the lead of the race and the win. So it's not a bad strategy to do. Just keep yourself clean, keep yourself out of trouble, and you can find yourself with some great results. John Halloran doing a good job of that in the Taipan car right now.
So, you've got to go to 14th place before someone's not in a battle at the moment. 2 cars for the lead, 2 cars for third, and then that monster pack we've got from Jeremy Bush all the way to David Leslie. This is your leaders. Lachlan Lawler's got an interesting view. And then Blavins and Verney really not far behind at all. Jeremy Bush still playing a little bit of cork in the bottle here in 5th, but that's what that invert top 10's meant to do. And if you're not making mistakes and you're not getting past, then that's good racing.
Last lap by Josh Barry, Brodie Shepherd, Liam Banks, the 3 fastest cars on track other than James Blevins and Nathan Verney. So Barry, Shepherd and Banks, the 3 cars that are pitted, all faster than the lead group.
The 19th, 20th, 21st at the minute as well. What is the Cyrillic for Farron Hancock's, and does it just say like Russia Post or something? Has he got the world's fastest mail delivery?
I don't know.
Maybe it's like Mark Webber's Yellow Pages F3000, except in Russian or Cyrillic letters or something. I don't know. He's got bigger things to worry about right now, because Halloran still trying to line up Jeremy Bush. Jake Burgess right there in front of him as well. And what's the replay for, Jake?
Yeah, we've had an issue. Max Donnelly at the back of the group here has had something go wrong up through turns 9 and 10, the exit of 10. No, so it's through turn 11. I'm thinking he's hit this curb and gone a little bit wide. Oh,
Keep it pinned, son.
he did.
Good on you. Yeah, that change of direction, bouncing, because the car will get a little bit of air off the curb, and then the track immediately drops away after the apex as well, and then there's the change of direction right in the middle of that big dive from Halloran. He's going to have to wedge an Audi RS3 width down the inside of Jeremy Bush, and he's done it. Very, very robustly covered from Bush, but I think Halloran had the right to get down the inside and enough speed for it too. But yeah, we've seen a couple of the Audis particularly do that. They get a bit of a bounce on the curb. The bounce is sort of like the old trampoline with your big brother double bounce, because the track drops away to give more airtime and less grip immediately after that curb. And then they're trying to change direction. The rear's super loose for these cars. All of it just stacks up to that being a tough place to carry your speed and your momentum in these TCR cars. Let's take a look as the field are going to come through there again. No, everyone cautiously giving a little bit too much respect to that curb on the left.
Jeremy Bush definitely is holding up the group though, but as we were saying before, still driving very consistent. He's maintaining his line, he's driving at a decent pace. And Farron Hancock's has seen enough of this group. He wants out. We'll see where he rejoins in amongst those that have pitted. I'm going to say he'll be ahead of Banks, but behind Shepherd.
no brake lights as he approached the start of the pit lane speed limit, as if he was already down to it before he navigated that left-hand run.
Haven't people watched after we were talking about it at Okayama each and every time we broadcast there?
If there's any better proof that no one listens to what you and I say, it's that keeps happening. Oh, a little bit more argy-bargy. Yeah.
Not going to get it done, though.
It's not going to work. Jeremy Bush is still going to get good enough drive off that corner, and he's so tough to pass into this section. They do get on the brakes a little bit before turn-in, but it's not your full straight-line brake pressure either. It's just a little bit, help the car turn, and then straighten it up a little bit across the curbs and try to slow it down through there. So Bush still holding on well in 6th here. His last lap, though, 134.8. There is, well, everyone who's pitted is basically going to go faster than that. So those still waiting that aren't able to get past are starting to lose a little bit of time. Bush runs wide. He's on the grass. Burgess passed. Brody Cook trying to find space for his nose, but it's not going to happen.
And another Audi's fallen foul to that moment too. David Leslie's done the exact same thing that we saw before. So he's had a moment there through the turn 11-12 switchback. And Bryce Crawford also coming into the pits. Talking about Farron Hancock's where he'd rejoin. As expected, right in between Brody Shepherd and Liam Banks are in about 7 seconds behind Shepherd, 5 seconds ahead of Banks.
Remember when the first generation Audi TT came out without a rear spoiler, and at 150 kilometers an hour it'd make enough lift over the rear that changing lanes could send you into a spin? That carries on for the Audi RS3 apparently.
Be interesting to see if there's a few drivers racing in the pro split coming up next that are watching this and thinking, do we need to tweak the setup a little bit to make sure that this doesn't happen? Is it something that only happens with aero wash? Is it something that we need to test in the next little bit before racing starts? Because there will be a few drivers that have seen this and seeing this is an Audi exclusive problem. Do we have to make sure that this doesn't happen to us?
Definitely in the talk of the balance of performance between the three models of TCR, because it's not one physics model gone and, you know, plomped on all three of them. They're different and unique and dynamic cars. A lot of it wasn't, you know, straight line performance necessarily so much as some of them just ride curbs differently to others, and that's a little bit on show there.
And a lot of that too, what drivers picked. Oh no, Tom, you're on the brakes way too early. Get on it. There we go. Nope, then he forgot to put the limiter on at the end.
Oh no!
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a penalty. Crawford and Leslie both come out of the pits behind Liam Banks as well, so being at the back of that group has definitely hurt them in regards to pace in comparison to those guys who may be fighting for the lead. Josh Barry and Brody Shepherd may have pulled a Wordley here, but in regards to that, the three different types of cars, talking to a few of the drivers, they didn't really have a preference in regards to which car was the fastest. It was which one they felt more comfortable and they could tweak the setup to be more comfortable with. So they're all very evenly matched. It's just a lot of personal preference coming into who's driving what. So
Sagasar starting to get away with the lead a little bit here. It was him and Lawler. Now Lawler's under pressure. James Blavin's all over him. Nathan Verney looming on as well. Blavin's really trying to set up the line to be able to carry speed over the crest. Just kind of got to hope that the guy in front runs wide, but that is a super defensive line from Lawler, who's going for pit lane right as Blavin does. Push him along. You're losing time if the guy in front of you was less aggressive on his pit entry than you were. I reckon these guys have got it down pat. We're dealing with some pros here in Lachlan Lawler and Blavin, but they both decide to pit at the same time here on lap 13, just basically bang on the halfway point of the race.
And we were talking before about will Barry and Shepherd try and work together? They're definitely not fighting, so to me that says that they're playing this race very smart, knowing there's no point battling because the battle isn't within each other at the moment. It's within the guys that are out on track still, so if they can continue to punch out consistent fast lap times, they're going to find themselves in a great spot to potentially steal a win, steal a podium, steal a good result out of a race that could have went very badly, especially for Shepherd. It's going to be close.
One of those, it is, and it's going to be cold tyres on the front there for... Oh gosh, I've got a bit of J-brain going on right
That's
now.
Lawler.
There's Lawler. Josh Barry gets down the inside, and I reckon Brody Shepherd, if he's smart, is going to have the grip to go down the inside at the next corner here. Really needed to just set him up through 2 and 3 and 4. Fancies another go back, though, does Lachlan Lawler. Long to stop there for Blavens.
Yeah, an extra 24 seconds. I'm wondering if it's changed 4 tyres instead of 2. As Lawler still holds on from Shepherd. This hurts them in the long run, though. If these three fight, or if Lawler and Shepherd fight, they will find themselves in a worse spot in the end as Braden Sagasar comes in from the lead.
You go potentially reacting to what some others are doing. Nathan Verney carries on. Here comes Sheepy. Is that what they call him? Jeremy Bush. Is he a Kiwi?
Question. I'm not sure.
Well, Max
think you're
Donnelly
right.
follows him along as well.
We know that Max Donnelly's a Kiwi because it says so on the side of the car.
Yeah, it's real New Zealand pitting hours. Here is still under pressure Lachlan Lawler. And this would probably be one of the sections you imagine he'd struggle. There's like 4 right-hand apexes there, and you're not going to have that front grip. He doesn't push wide. It's Shepherd that pushes just a little wide and hurts himself some. Would have been a good pit stop for Halloran, who's just in the background there. Sagasar through the lane ahead of that battle. And I think with just enough in his pocket that by the time they can get him, he's going to have more confidence.
Nathan Verney needs to take advantage, though, because the 2 cars that were potentially holding him up, remember he was getting held up a little bit by Lachlan Lawler, and then he was slowly catching on that next lap Braden Sagasar. So Verney needs to punch in some incredibly good lap times right now to try and take that overall lead away. Leader on track at the moment. Going to stay out for another lap.
Yep, he will.
Matthew Harriet's come in, though, from position number 3. Or has
How do you rate his pit entry? Nah, I think you're wrong.
I think I'm wrong. I saw him lose a spot on the timing sheet. Ray Harrison has come in.
Yep. Lawler still under a fair chunk of pressure here. So Shepherd goes wider. That's not going to let him get down the inside of the final corner, and smart. Lawler is then tight on the exit to make sure he gets the full run through the final corner. Right way to defend through that section, I think. Turn 1, deceptive from this camera angle because you don't have a whole lot of a view of that apex until you're upon it, because the track drops away and then turns left. When you get an angle from up on high, it doesn't look near as dramatic as it does from the driver's eye view. And the same's true of around the backside of the section here, but there is a good old switchback going on. Lawler throws it down the inside and trying to go for the over-under. He gets helped around by Josh Barry.
I don't know if Barry could have done much else there, though, because he was turning in for the corner, expecting Lawler to be up the inside a little bit more. It's
Lawler went in
though.
really deep. There was going to be space down the inside, but maybe just turning in a little early on that one. Looking one way, looking the other to throw it down the inside, break super deep.
Barry had have opened the steering a little bit more, he might have turned him even worse. So I think he's done a pretty good job to not have as bad an incident as it could have been.
Big rush on pit lane. Brody Cook, Matthew Harriet. This time, Callum Heinrich, Leon Williams.
I was just foreseeing the future.
It's Leon Williams that they call Sheepy. Well, do you know what? We'll make it 2 days in a row that I get yelled at in the Locked On Discord.
Glad it's you, not me.
Traditions. So now your only drivers left not to have pitted is Nathan Verney and Jake Burgess. Braden Sagasar in third has cleared his pit stop. Kind of shows on the timing tower as he's 40 seconds behind Vernie. Total pit lane transit for Sagasar, which was one of the best stops we've seen, 46. Halloran, 45-second transit. Vernie's in a good spot, but he still might need a second or two.
Pepper just got through.
Yep, gonna take a looky. This is to where the action zone was a lap ago. Goes out down the inside, points direct to the apex. Parks it a little bit too. He ran a little wide of that apex. Finally, Nathan Vernie in. Now Jake Burgess, the only car not to have stopped yet. In race number 2 of the AM division here. An Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series. It just carries on. His last lap at 1:33.6. That doesn't quite seem especially competitive to run an overcut on all our pit stoppers. Vernie, though, oh, he could have done with another 1 or 2 seconds for sure, because he's rejoining just behind Braden Sagasar, who's going to be the net race leader.
Interesting thing with that, though, is he's in the draft and close enough to close in, so it'll be interesting to see if he can use that draft to his advantage, but the downside, of course, is he has to get heat into those tyres. It's going to be tough for him to be able to keep this gap around that 1 second, but if he can do it over the next 2 laps, hold it at 1 second, I think there's enough time left in the race for him to start to close in and take advantage of those then warm and fresher tyres. But this lap here is crucial for it. If he can't keep it within a second, it's race over. If it's still within a second in 2 laps' time, it's game on.
I think Sagasar's got himself in a good position here, because just still struggling with it there. Nathan Vernie kind of creates almost a potential rear gunner for Sagasar that's going to make it tough for anyone like Brody Shepherd or Josh Barry to close up towards the end here on Sagasar.
John Halloran's been one of the biggest movers in the field in this entire race. Of course, Liam Banks as well, but John Halloran started in 15th, currently in 6th, will be net 5th once Jake Burgess pits, and is fighting for 4th here, net 4th, because he's close enough to get this done, but not quite there on Josh Barry.
So breathe out wide, a little bit of the apex between 2 and 3. Now up over the hill at 4. I feel like there's going to be some defense from Barry potentially here. So Halloran is going to look down the inside, but not brake super deep. Still going to get down the inside. In fact, almost tempts Barry into out-braking himself. That's a pretty clean move.
Remember Barry and Banks pitted lap 1, lap 2 respectively. I'm wondering if Josh Barry's starting to struggle a little bit with those tyres wearing off it a little. His lap time's definitely has dropped. Oh no, Nathan Vernie in the wall.
What has happened to the man who's running in 2nd place? Other than the fact he's in the wall, he's in the gravel. He still was working with cold tyres. Is that old Audi favourite or somewhere else?
No, it's down the hill at the chicane at the museum. So something has happened here. I think he's just lost it. Oh, it's way too deep. I don't think he hit the wall in the end. Or just. Oh, wrong again.
Your comedic timing's good though.
Oh no, I'm doing well.
So
now, that would be a penalty in most racing series in the world, but it's not in his.
Yep. He's spinning them up, Jake Burgess. I don't know, maybe he's just flinging the old ones off. But he's going to clear his pit stop. He's not going to be top 5. A handful of other drivers have gone on through. He's going to be in the middle of the battle here. Oh, it's a tough place to rejoin.
So Talking about John Halloran before being biggest mover, he's now up to third, so plus 12. Biggest mover Liam Banks is up 14 positions.
Lawler's going to try to strike immediately down the inside on the cold, tired Jake Burgess. So you get down the inside there, you've got to get a good run off the corner as well, because he's still round the outside for this segment here where Jake Burgess says, nope.
You have to get the move done. As I was saying before, you've got great opportunity to do switchbacks and hold your line on the outside because the next corner flows in where you can keep your spot. So good job from Jake Burgess there to realise, hey, if I just hold it on the outside, I'm going to keep the spot. Good driving from Lawler not to try and force something that wasn't there to be forced. Going to have to make that move a little bit better. There's the mistake. There's the spot.
Goes just wide across the top of the hill. Lawler's got a couple more cars, got more positions he could seek to grab by the end of this one. Tell you what, driver of the round is a tough one here. I mean, Sagasar's picked up good points across both races. Lawler has clearly had some of the fastest one-lap pace. This isn't a circuit or a format where just one lap pace alone is going to get you good results. And then, yeah, Halloran, just nothing too flashy. Pick off one, pick off another, pick off a couple more, closing in on Brodie Shepherd for second, if you don't mind.
He's gaining a fair bit. He's gained 0.8 of a second in the last 3 laps. Current gap 1.2, so based off that, he's going to be there with 2 laps to go to potentially steal a spot. So this is going to be very, very interesting. And you can see just in the background there too, Farron Hancock's, who got out of that battle group, the first out of the secondary group of hitters, so other than the guys that pitted really early. He's finding himself in a great spot to potentially steal his spot from Josh Barry, whose pace has absolutely fallen off a cliff.
Interesting. 4 laps to go. Sagasar still leads the way, and it's the middle part of the grid. You sort of, 4th through to 15th, where all these battles are right now. Aaron Hancock's, Josh Barry, Bryce Crawford. Who was that getting super sideways in the background?
No.
They've even found the wall.
Yeah.
Bryce Crawford, yeah. Wow, just a little bit of grass on the exit. When you get a bit sideways in these cars and you panic, you don't grab the throttle to try to pull yourself out of it. You're going to take a replay, and the grass is right there. Everyone's been dipping some tyres, sometimes all 4, into the grass on the outside of the final corner. Look for poor Bryce Crawford, just... Oh, no.
You might have a bit of steering damage from that too.
Did give the pit wall a little smooch.
Half a second once again. Well, actually 0.7 of a second gain on that lap from John Halloran. So Halloran's right on here for a potential second place. You remember he started in 15th in this race. Started race 1 in 14th, finished 15th. Now from 15th to 3rd, maybe 2nd.
Jay, you ready for some quick cuts? Braden Sagasar leading the way, and then Brodie Shepherd and John Halloran battling over the final spots on the podium. Behind them, Joshua Barry and Farron Hancock's great little 2-car Hyundai battle. Behind that, Liam Banks, Nathan Verney. Nathan Verney trying to charge after his outbraking mistake. How about behind that, Jeremy Bush, Max Donnelly, and always charging Lachlan Lawler. It's all action in the top 10.
Yeah, just behind Lawler too, Burgess, Cook there as well. So battles the whole way through. The only driver in the top 10 that is not in a fight right now is our leader, Braden Sagasar, who is absolutely breaking away. Liam Banks just decides, nah, no point fighting. I'll let you through. Nathan Verney now back up into 6th. Banks' front tyres must be gone because he's now on lap number 21 in this stint.
He was one of the
he pitted on lap 1.
Really early pitters, yeah. So that could be the case, that he's just worked them pretty hard. And when you pit early, then your laps after that, your temptation to bring the tyres in quickly, work them pretty hard is right there. So it got him a bunch of track position, but he's now struggling to hold on to it. Brodie Shepherd Just showing a slightly defensive line to John Halloran, who was nowhere near close enough to try to attack for second regardless. You think Shepard's maybe ending up in that similar kind of situation to Banks? Because for Shepard, tyres 17 laps old, Halloran 10. Is that enough a difference that they just start getting overworked, overheated? There's no way your front tyres get much of a break anywhere around here. We're not just talking about wear, we're thinking about, temperature and overheating. They're just in use all the time.
Yeah, this track out of any track on iRacing, your front tyres are getting an absolute workout the whole way through, and by the time you think you can give them a rest, you're back into turning the car again. So front-wheel drive cars around this track, I think this has been a brilliant choice in regards to circuit for this series. But yeah, I think now that's 18 laps. He's still got to do 2 more, 20 laps on the stint. It's going to be hard work for Shepard to hold on here when Halloran's tyres are about half the life. They're at prime condition right now too, Halloran's tyres, so this is going to be very interesting. Side by side again, Jeremy Bush still trying to maintain that top 10. Holds on from Max Donnelly, Lachlan Lawler and Jake Burgess. I feel like this is a repeat from race 1.
Oh, they're into each other once again. 4 cars at about 4 car lengths with 2 laps to go here. Jeremy Bush got his elbows out trying to hold on to that one. Donnelly, I think, knew that the time was ripe for a move because shooting down the inside is Lawler, who's been catching him. Jake Burgess watches on, trying to see what he can do. Again, Lawler not all the way down the inside at 5. It's going to be under pressure here for 7th. You just can't get round the outside of someone there. The car down the inside, title to the line, could help you to some half-price museum entry.
The other part to that too is because they were side by side, they were both slow on entry, which meant that Jake Burgess could capitalise, and he gained maybe 3 or 4 car lengths, and he's now right under that rear wing of Lachlan Lawler. He has to take to the escape road and almost off into the gravel to try and save that spot. Good bit of driving to save the spot. It's not the fastest way, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, nowhere to pass there, and some of this tyre fall off has got to be this first and final sector, the really, really long right-handers, as Braden Sagasar's last time through turn number 1, immediately into what's called turns 2 and 3. It's a right-hander that just keeps going, and it must be the same feeling in the final sector around the pit entry there. Burgess looking down the inside of Lawler, not close enough, but he had to have a look. You have to. It's the final lap. You've really got one overtaking shot left, and it's into turn 5. Halloran into turn 5.
Very wide from Shepard.
Yeah, trying to help Shepard into a mistake. Shepard struggling to brake and turn, and still, again, going to have that inside for the next complex of corners, which makes it oh so tough to pass him. I still believe Halloran could make something happen at the end of the lap here, the way that it's falling off for Shepard. You've got 3 apexes of a right-hander in the final sector, and you can almost get around the outside of someone who's got a big tyre deficit. Oh, Lawler and Burgess are into each other.
At the exit of the chicane, made contact there. Not good. Oh, Halloran thinking about it. Up through turn 11.
Halloran, if he stays to the inside here, you throw it in deep around the outside. He is trying to defend the inside a little bit and see if you can get down the inside of the final corner, but he's not going to be able to, and no one's going to catch. Braden Sagasar. And Sagasar's not even going to be able to catch that slide. Behind them, bit of a drag race there for Farron Hancox and Nathan Verney potentially, but Shepard and Halloran hold on for a podium. The flash of that headlights was a bit of respect from Halloran, Barry in 4th, and Verney just got it, did he?
Yep, Verney by 0.03 of a second in the end. Absolutely nothing between them in the end, but Braden Sagasar has absolutely pushed it in the wall in celebration. I think he's taken to the marking on the rear of that car, literally. That's what he's done at the end.
There you go. Yeah. Good racing at Barber, and again, it just whets the appetite for the Pro Division coming up later on. Later on, pretty shortly. Let's take a look though, and I'm going to guess this is Lawler and Burgess. Oh, I'm right. So, 2 Hyundais tangling on the final lap here. Lawler is down the inside. Burgess. Can you do that? I feel like you can't.
How's that from Brody Cook sliding his way through, though, just to steal the spot right at the end?
Let's go results then. Braden Sagasar, the winner of, call it the feature race, AM division of Aussie Turbo Touring Car Series here at Barber, from Brodie Shepherd and John Halloran, who had a very fair, very close battle towards the end there. The tyres falling off the Hyundai for Shepherd. He still held on a second. Josh Barry, Nathan Verney, and Farron Hancock's super close right at the end. Liam Banks, Jeremy Bush, Max Donnelly, and Brody Cook, the top 10.
They got Matthew Harriott in 11th with James Blavins finishing in 12th in the end, but I'm sure Race Control are looking back over that one right at this moment because they will not be happy with how the end of that race played out for he and Lachlan Lawler. Tom Hunt finishes 13th ahead of Jake Burgess in 14th position. Leon Williams in 15th beats home Callum Heinrich in P16. Bryce Crawford, David Leslie, and Craig Kerman, the last drivers on the lead lap. And as we said, Lachlan Lawler getting spun around at the end of that race. Ray Harrison finished 2 laps down in the end. We didn't see Ira Feldberg or Dale Jeffries out on track. This is the end of the Pro-Am split. We get ready for the main event, being the Pro drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And there'll be, well, more numerous cars for that one as well, which I think is going to make the strategy we saw out of this first half of the broadcast even more interesting for those very, very hotly contested pros in the Pro Division coming up. Their final race, I think, is going to be spicy. Have we got our whole podium from race number 2? Looks like we do, Jay.
Go for it.
So I'll break in tradition. Braden Sagasar, our winner, with us. Must be pretty happy across both races there. Keep your nose clean and pick up some solid points and a win in the feature.
Yeah, it's very surprising actually. I wasn't expecting that, especially qualifying 10th. I was just trying to be happy with a 5th place, but to get a win in the feature is, even better.
Pit stop strategy a little all over the place, actually, tonight, with the track position at a premium. Some drivers pitting really early, seeming to run out of tyres at the end. Some drivers pitting quite late and then struggling on them colder tyres. You split it right in the middle and it seemed to work.
Yeah, I was just focusing on the guys behind me. Like, if they pitted, I was going to pit a lap later just to hold them off, and it seemed to work out. So I think they were battling with each other after that lap. Today somehow had a 2.5 second lead, and then Verney came out right behind me, so I was a bit worried for him, and then I think he made a mistake into the dipper.
Do you think the bright colours and the yeet is encouraging people to have a go at you or scaring them off?
I'm hoping it's scaring them off, but it wouldn't surprise me if they would want to have a dive bomb at me here and there later into the series.
Potentially. Well, congratulations. Well done. Using that top 10 invert to your good use as well. I'm going to not crunch any numbers, but suggest that you could be the round winner tonight.
Oh, if that's the case, I'm going to be extremely happy with that as well.
Yeah, you got a 5th and a 1st. Brodie Shepherd's got a 4th and a 2nd. So what has John Halloran got? Oh, 15th and a 3rd. I reckon it's probably you.
Oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing feeling. I feel like that's my first series win, unless I got one in Barcelona. But yeah, it feels good to get a round win.
Don't think the ink's dry yet on who won in Barcelona, but well done. Good to see you tonight, and hopefully see you next week.
Yep, thank you guys for having me.
Jay Kennedy, do you want to grab our second place, man? I think
Yeah,
we've got Brodie Shepherd.
Yeah, Brodie Shepherd. I was just going to say before that, that's the result there for P number 4, with it being only P5 300ths of a second. But we go, Brodie, congratulations on P2. That was a hard-fought battle right at the end between you and John Halloran there. You two were fighting very, very hard, and you were just able to hold the spot with a good bit of defensive driving at the end.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I pitted early, tyres were gone towards the end, so everyone around me was quicker. And then the one spot where you could pass, the car didn't want to turn because of the old tyres. So nearly messed it up on the last lap, but it turned out well.
What are your thoughts on this track? We've been talking it up quite a lot over the last hour or so. What are your thoughts on it? Have you raced here much before, and will you be racing here again?
I've done a GT3 race here before, but it's definitely more fun in the TCRs. You can just throw it over the curbs and it just like sticks to the road really well, so there's a lot of fun in this.
Strategy, was that something on the fly, or were you always looking at pitting early? Was that sort of the thinking tonight, or was it more that you were just trying to get out of that battle that was going on around you, which was pretty hectic at the time?
Yeah, no, it was more just, it was bumper cars at the front. So I kind of just pitted before something went wrong, and it's decided it kind of worked out well, so... But yeah, it was just bumper cars.
Well, next week we go to... Where did I say before?
It's
Hockenheim. Hockenheim. You're looking forward to that one?
Yeah, it's a fun track in GT3s. Should be fun in TCRs as well. I'm normally pretty quick there, so hopefully I can be up the front again.
Well, good luck for next week, and hopefully we'll chat to you again then. Do you want to thank anyone before we let you go?
Nah, it's all good. Cheers for the racing, and cheers everyone for the night.
So we have P2, Brody Shepherd, and David, you're standing by with John Halloran. Hopefully.
Yep, here we go. Well, big moves through the field in that final race there after race 1 didn't quite go your way. 15th on the grid to a podium and fighting for second there.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me here. Yeah, I made a meal of that first race, so I had to make up for it. Team bosses watching.
No pressure then. How'd you find the curbs and the elevation and everything around Barber here? Because definitely saw a few Audis maybe struggling with some of the curbs more than others.
Yeah, the Audis really struggled here. I noticed towards the end there when I was following Brody, the strengths and the weaknesses that the Audi had, it surprised me, to be honest. I thought we were stronger in other places. But yeah, over the curbs, especially on a cold tyre, which you would have seen me do in race 1, just don't touch them, really. They don't ride the bumps well at all.
And then what was your thinking for the strategy in race number 2? Because we had every possible gamut of the strategy, and you were one of those drivers who sort of picked somewhere around the middle of the race, and that worked for yourself, and it worked for Braden Sagasar, the winner.
Yeah, I was just talking to Brody then, and he said he pitted on lap 4, which I thought was a bit surprising. But I guess if you want to get out of the queue, it makes sense. I was going to pit early, and then kind of the C's parted in front of me, and I just jumped through, added open space in front of me, so dragged out the stint a bit longer than I was going to, originally planned, and worked out at the end, I guess.
It's a tiny segment of the race, but it does seem like the Audis are getting away off the standing start better than the other cars that are a little hit and miss.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I haven't driven the other cars, so I'm not sure how good they are off the line, but I mean, I've had a couple of ripping starts at Catalunya and again here at Barber, so I've got a starts nailed down pretty well. As long as you don't get the wheel spin, they get off the line really well. And compared to the Hyundai and the Honda, I think, yeah, the Audi leaves them for dust. But coming off the corners, I reckon the Hyundais and the Hondas have better acceleration. But the initial off-the-line launch, the Audi's got it covered for sure.
Full 2004-2005 spec Renault launch control there. Well, congratulations on some good positions gained. Biggest mover in race number 3 and a podium. Look forward to hopefully, fingers crossed, see you at Hockenheim next week.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Won't miss it. Just a quick shout out to the team sponsors as well. Blacktown Mazda, Blacktown GWM Havel, Too Easy Finance, Sim Rigs, Sim Spec Engineering, Card FX, Sideways Photography, and Rabbit NZ.
Got that memorized? You read it off a list.
No, I've got a list, mate. My memory's not that good.
Neither's
There you
mine.
go. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Speaking of, Jay, can you get me a little list?
Sure, I can do that. If I click this button right here. Hang on. Gotta remember what button to click now.
I'm hanging on.
There you go.
Oh, no, I clicked the wrong thing. Yeah, so the AM division, 2 races done and dusted here at Barber Motorsports Park. We'll break before we bring you the Pro Split, which has been featuring over 40 cars for the first 2 rounds. 30 plus still will feel like a lot around Barber Motorsports Park. Stay with us because that's coming up. And thank you to everyone who makes Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series and the SimSpeed TV broadcast possible. That's Prestige, Trophy Badge and Engraving, 24/7 Race Control, Locked On iRacing Podcast, and Sim Racing Leagues. See you in a minute. Don't go anywhere. We've got more wheel-to-wheel bumper banging action coming up.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Well, here we go, ready for those Pro Division, and this is what their grid's going to look like. Martin Turner, the Chicken Up Machine, on pole for race number 1. Alongside him is going to be Ryan O'Sullivan. Got Daniel Yeaman, Thomas Hinz, Sebastian Flock, and Ashley Norman up front. Then Mitch Dean, Tim Corn, Matthew Brunt, Braden Martin, Reese Gardner, and Tim Harris is our top 12 as they grid up for the first sprint race.
Yeah, behind those guys we've got Brady Baldwin and Nathan Norman with Ben Snell and Nick Wood on row 8. Row 9 is Ryan Jones and Dale Sharp. Row 10 feature Benjamin Brook and Tom Wilkinson, Stuart Crawford and Alex McKellar on row number 11 with Ira Felberg, Simon Mazzomo on row 12, and the last driver will be Josh Drage, who did not set a time in qualifying.
Well, they are almost all ready to go towards turn 1. A lot of Hyundais on the front. How are they going to go launching away into this race? 12 laps. Smoke in the air. Some Hondas up front here as well, but that looks like another great launch from second place. Second place has been the place to be so far. A bit of bumping and banging. Around the outside, I think goes Matthew Brunt potentially, or is that Ross? No, I'm pretty sure that's Ross who went around the outside. And it's Reese Gardner here getting bullied a little bit. Cold tyres once again for everyone. To the big braking zone we go. O'Sullivan looking to sell a bit of a dummy down the inside so deep he misses everything. He's off the track, he's in the grass, he's in the gravel. Hero to 0 super quickly for Ryan O'Sullivan, the pole sitter.
That was Ben Snell that was giving Reese Gardner a little bit of a hip and shoulder. We saw a little bit there. Thomas Hinz tries to make a move on Ashley Norman, unable to do so. But just see him in the background too. Reese Gardner, Brady Baldwin, all checking up there in the middle. Ryan Jones, Ira Felberg, Stuart Crawford, Dale Sharp all getting together. Big check up in the mid-pack there, which caught out the whole second half of the field.
Is it Crawford in the ORT Honda? And it's going on up front as well.
I see Milo sideways.
Cold tyres, Audi, curbs, not a clean combination whatsoever. And he's going to get side by side and they're going to lean on each other through this segment here. Watch the rejoin. Audi on Audi attack. Oh no, not going to be pleased whatsoever. Is that Martin?
That was Ryan Jones.
Oh.
He was off in the grass.
One lap in the books for a hectic race, remembering that this one's going to set that grid for race number 2 as well. Sim Racing Machine trying to get around some locked on boys. Not able to find a lane as the tyre pressure builds. Now on a race, lap 2 of race 1. Thomas Hinz, very Japanese inspired Honda livery, looking down the inside at the hairpin here as well. I think that's covered off by Chicken Up, but wide goes Locked on 116. Replay.
Ben Snell a little bit cheeky up the inside of race guard. Now loses the back end. And in the rejoin, ends up side by side here with Ryan Jones. And too wide doesn't often work through that section. Ben Snell did miss the apex of it there. And runs much on the grass. Doesn't matter how good your skills are, you're in the dirt. You're going around.
Yeah, and again, that's a super tough break to catch in race number 1 because your top 10 with the invert, it's always good to be in the top 10. Up front, though, Daniel Yeaman's starting to put a bit of pressure on Marty Turner. Nick Wood is in the grass.
Spot we expect to see an Audi.
Audi corner. Sebastian Flock in third, maybe starting to fade just a little bit on this fight. This is for the lead of the race. No pit stops in this one. Get to the front, hold the front, try to run away with it. Norman with a pack behind him in fourth that you can see in the far shot there. So this will be a corner to watch for turn number 5.
Confirming Nick Wood did do that all by himself as well. So the Audi just losing control through the same corner once again.
Sullivan in 15th from pole position to further back in the field. Sorry, second on the grid, a bit further back in the field. Now trying to strike back forward. Obviously not too much damage to his Hyundai. This is the lead though. Marty Turner is feeling the pressure from Yeaman, and it's let Flock close in here as well. Curbs. Track drops downhill, change of direction, and then the track starts running uphill. Flock. Oh, TCR style. Managed to catch that one, but that's probably not great for your tyres. Get away with it in this race, but in the longer races, if you stopped early or you're running deep and you're doing that kind of stuff, that is where you start to wear them out, lose the grip. Big pressure for the race lead. Big pressure for Ashley Norman in fourth, as you see him in the background with Thomas Hinds looking one way, looking the other. How's the run off turns 2 and 3 for Marty Turner? Yeaman's got a line that's really set him up. He's obviously looking for the far left-hand side of the circuit. Down the inside, middle of the road for Yeaman. Point it to the apex. Square it off, and that is the lead.
Nice move. Those are the moves you like to see at Barber there. Just set up nicely from the exit of the first corner. Spent the whole next kilometre odd of racetrack setting up a move into turn 5, and now the job's not done because the exit of 5 allows the driver that is on the outside to come back. But he's done a good job of making sure he can defend the spot. Marty Turner's not too worried though, because he's right there still ready to pounce and hoping to force an error here from Yeaman.
Again, very Hyundai up the front in the top 3 at the moment. Hinds in 5th with the Honda. Did we even see one in the first division?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and they might have been entirely missing. Here he is through the final corner. A shortage of Audis for some of the locked-on guys here. Tim Cornt, 6th. Braden Martin, 8th with some of those Audis. And that, potential pass into turn 5, it all starts in turn 1. You've got to take turn 1 so that your exit sets you up for 2 and 3, so that your exit off of 3 carries you good speed up the hill through the kink of 4, and then you're going to get down the inside here. Ryan O'Sullivan still trying to work his way back up through the field somewhat. And
that'll we see in
Snell.
open wheelers a bit more.
Yeah, normally we see Ben Snell and Alex McKellar maybe fighting over first on a Thursday night in the Ozicar Skip Barber series. Some dents for McKellar there as well. I think Snell's got a big dent from the hit earlier. They're battling over 18th and 19th.
Locke looked so much better up through 11 and 12 there and was able to close in a whole heap of ground, and he's now there in a position where he could potentially steal this second or even first away. Just got to time his run right, but he's been doing a good job of timing the exit of these corners to get the run through the flowing straight sections, or straighter sections.
Yeah, keeping it compact for our top three at the moment. This first race just zips on by, doesn't it? Running lap 6 at 12 at the moment. Feels like we only just dropped the green flag. If you go backwards, not a lot of time to go forwards and try to recover before it then sets the grid for race number 2.
Interesting looking at the lap times in comparison to our Pro-Am division. Fastest lap of the race in this one at the moment is a 130.1 by Mitch Dean. Fastest lap we saw in the entirety of the Pro-Am split was a 131.9. So much, much faster in this split, which means the races are going to go quicker, which means the action is going to be more intense.
Does it feel potentially a little more overcast in this server, though?
A little.
Side by side here, and might have seen what happened on lap number 1 there. Tim Court lets that one go, and Mitch Dean up to 6th. Both of them catching a whole heap of grass. Now it's, locked on, lads.
It's going to be locked on, making contact there.
Oh dear. That would have given Braden Martin a lot more things to be angry about than me forgetting what the time zone's called for Adelaide.
Ryan O'Sullivan actually has the fastest lap of the race as well, 130 flat. He'd miss him because he is down the field a little bit. If he was up a little bit higher and didn't have that issue at the start of the race, I might have seen it. I'm not used to looking for P14 for fastest laps of the race.
Brenton O'Brien's on the ball, though. He's not going to let you get away with that one.
I know, that's why I had to say it. I had to correct myself.
Yeah, not even. So, top 3. Yeaman looked so decisive grabbing this lead from Marty Turner, but then has just not been able to extend it or go anywhere with it since, which is interesting. Maybe you've got a setup that's and a driving style that's stronger on the cold tyres initially on the getaway for Yeaman, but now we're onto the longer run, trying to settle in, and you can start to wear out those front tyres, especially that front left. Just does so much work around Barber. And that's second, looking back at third. Myriad of different lines possible. Around, I call it Charlotte's Web, one of those corners?
Yeah, turn 5 and 6 is Charlotte's Web, where the big spider is. It's the only corner that's actually been named at this track. Every other corner is just called the corner name, except for the silly 7A, 7B, 8A, 8B bit down through the chicane.
I never get why they call it like turn 6 and turn 6A. Shouldn't it be turn 6 and turn 7 or turn 6A and 6B? Like,
yeah, I don't get it. Well, I mean, this is 5, so you got 5A, 5B, 5C. And then this little kink right here is 6. That sort of makes sense. And then you got 7 and 7A down the hill. And then you got 8. It'd be 7, 8, 9, or just 7, I think.
not going to argue numbering with a nation that thinks metric is a communist plot.
And thinks
Matthew Brunt's in trouble.
I was going to say thinks the uphill section at Road America is a corner.
Almost. Well, I think that horse has been dead for a while and we're still beating it. This is what happened between Brady Baldwin and Matthew Brunt. It's a pretty big error from Brady Baldwin. Yep. And he got on the radio to let Matthew Brunt know he's going to address that one, and did it very, very promptly. Brought Ryan O'Sullivan right back into their little battle there as well. 4 laps to go. Your leader, Daniel Yeaman's just crossed the line. There's still only a second for the top 3, and battles all throughout. There's one of them. Ryan O'Sullivan's caught up to Brady Baldwin, that shenaniganry around the museum corner.
That's a good way to describe it. Then you don't have to worry about what corner number it is.
Yep.
It's not going to be close enough, you wouldn't think. Although that's a big dive.
You wouldn't think.
I should have expected that. Nice move in there.
Now, your timing's on point tonight, Jay. I'm loving
done
it.
A great job.
I don't think you hit the wall. Look too far back. There he goes. So just keep saying things aren't possible. And anything is possible in Aussie car turbo touring cars.
This is the commentator's curse to a whole new level today. It's just completely wrong. It's the reverse commentator's curse. Everything else is wrong that I say.
Good static cams to show that the battles and the fights and everything's still possible amongst our leading 10, and how closely packed they are all still together. So a locked on formation there. And then comes Nathan Norman under pressure from the Southpaw racer.
I do like how these Hondas sound.
I love that they've started applying the name VTEC to their turbo engines as well, because it doesn't mean anything now. It's just brand recognition for, yeah, this is a pretty hot Honda motor. It's like, it meant something once. Now it's just like a badge they can stick on to, you know, let you know that it's not your grand's Honda. Maybe it is.
This gap for 10th has definitely closed over the last couple of laps. Last lap by Reese Gardner around about 0.6 of a second faster than Nathan Norman. So Norman will be starting to feel that pressure from behind. That we saw how much that P10 can change in an instant in the AM split and in round 1. So this isn't settled, this isn't sorted. The likes of Matthew Brunt and even Ryan O'Sullivan are still in with a chance of stealing 10th here.
Reese Gardner pole position is the timeline that we need, though. To be entirely sim speed biased here. But,
we'll put our sim
you
speed
know,
hats on.
I know when I say it that not everyone's disagreeing with me, because he's a man with some fans. Can he make a couple more in the final 2 laps of the race? Yeaman's still got to sustain the pressure from Turner and Flock up front. Ashley Norman's got Hins and Mitch Dean starting to close in on him. Of course, all through the field. Locked on guys don't mind biffing and barging on each other too, so that could yet be a possibility. It's a quick glance at your lead battle. Underneath 8/10 as they run at the minute, but we just haven't seen a mistake from Yeaman that would see an opportunity. Here's Sullivan. Is he trying to come around the outside of Matthew Brunt?
Tried, couldn't get it done. He was side by side out of turn 2. Just couldn't get the run and couldn't get the momentum to finally get the move done. So it's going to take him an extra lap by the looks of it to get it done. It's Reese Gardner's right there now to pounce. Look, you can see a little bit of contact. There's a bit of damage in the rear of Nathan Norman's car now.
Says Reese was here. Lines again, just trying to set up a good run here. You can't get down the inside. Can you go around the outside? He's got speed and nowhere to go to come to this section. Great to have the onboard. You see how much the track drops away, grips up, and then starts to fade away from you again. So tough to follow the right line through there. Driver in front on the narrow line. Reese looking wide to cut back narrow to then open it up through the final corner. See the white flag and think, what can I do to get myself into that top 10, be part of the top 10 inversion and get a good starting place for race number 2. I think track position is looking even more critical with these guys. The racing is super close everywhere we've been this season, And then again here, just tough to pass someone who refuses to make a mistake or lose focus.
Yeah, I think it's going to be harder for these guys in the Pro Division as opposed to the Pro-Am. Pro-Am guys a little bit more susceptible to making mistakes, probably a little bit more ambitious in regards to making overtakes as well, but these guys are definitely showing that moves can be made. You just have to time them right, get the momentum right, have the guts to be able to try and throw it up there. But we've seen how they go bad as well. Gardner again with a different lines through this section. And contact again.
He's going to help him. He's parking it on the apex there. Nathan Norman is. You know who's having a boring race inside of the top 10 at the moment? No one. No one. It is all on in the split here. Positions are on. Oh, and Hins. Hins is going to find the fence.
Oh, and that's going to give Reece Gardner P10.
Oh, this is over 4th, 5th, and 6th. He was sandwiched in between the chicken ups. For, again, Americans like to call a chicken burger a chicken sandwich because they've got silly names for everything. But that is going to be really, really painful, really costly for Thomas Hins. Danny Amon fought for that race lead. He's grabbed it. He's going to get race win number 1. Podium completed by Turner and Flock in very quick succession underneath a second. Yeah, Reece Gardner is going to get that 10th. Ryan O'Sullivan just outside looking in 11th. I only saw the end of it, but there was contact, a little bit of orange paint somewhere from the Chicken Up guys onto Hinsey.
Get a replay in just a sec. That is the 99 of Mitch Dean just behind Thomas Hins. Just ahead, Ashley Norman. Oh, okay. That's just messy, isn't it?
It is. Again, it's a similar situation to what we saw maybe on board from Reece, where you can get a great run through that kink on the far side of the circuit there, coming towards the final sector with a big head of steam. But it's not possible really to get down the inside or go around the outside of someone as they come into the Audi section there. It's have a look here. There's a bit of a check up there for Dean. Hins is looking for the inside. I've seen 2 angles of it and I still don't know what I think unless you've got an onboard. It might have been I feel just last lap ambitious from Hins, but he's come barreling in there, and the driver in front's either made a bit of a dog's breakfast of the chicane, or do you think the Chicken Up guys, any chance they were trying to play some games to box Hinsey backwards towards Norman?
Possibly. You never know. There's probably a little bit more to it. There's always 3 sides to a story. One person's perspective, the other person's perspective, and the truth. I'll see if we can dissect it a bit more. Definitely race control are going to be looking at it. I don't know if Hinsey was up enough.
Can we get real speed on board of Hinsey real quick as we
can
then get ready to go to race number 2, which is going to be the 40-minute, maybe a little shorter than 40 minutes, 24-lap race with a compulsory pit stop. So here's set the scene. We've got 4th, 5th, and 6th. Teammate is right behind Hinsey here, so he's sandwiched between Chicken Up teammates of Mitch Dean and Ashley Norman. Gains a huge amount in the museum turn. And through here, he's gaining a bit. Ooh. Hins was not very far across, but then
Norman did come across really early into that corner though too. So
yeah, it was a. See, I feel like if you'd given Hinsey room to the left there, and you checked it up side by side, you would have still held him because every next corner is a right-hander. He's tried to dissuade Hins from a low percentage move by coming across, but too late.
Go back a bit further and watch on board. This is on board with Mitch Dean. Watch the whole thing unfold in front of him. But yeah, I think they both have played a part, but who does race control put a penalty on? The more I watch it, the more I don't know. Over to the right, and as soon as Hinz moves to the left, Norman comes straight across to the left, and by the time he comes across, he's already overlapped. One of the ones I love that I'm not in race control for.
Yeah, I think the last word, it's worth giving to it, is Hinsey was looking for a very, very, very ambitious move. But that's the kind of thing you do on the final lap.
Yeah, last lap.
And I don't think Dean, was it, has reacted well to that pressure. I think kind of, it's almost like a mistake has led to a mistake. Both of them have kind of been very determined to win it or bin it there. But it is not for us to cast too much judgment there. I do love some of these wide shots, Jay, because you see just how staggered and stepped the paddock area is for Barber.
The other part to it, you can see the elevation as well and how much the track drops off. One of the cool things about the track, though, you can see on the other side there, that's the run out of turn 9, the hill over there. From that section between turn 9 and turn 11 on that banked area, which is the main spectator area, you can see almost the whole circuit. You see 4 rows of track coming left and right at you the whole way through. So really cool track. It's probably one that I would never have known about before iRacing, but is now probably on my bucket list of tracks I want to go to.
Suggesting Queensland Raceway might be Barber Motorsports Park from Wish.com.
I would say that it is definitely from Wish.com, and from AliExpress would be Winton.
I stand by then that for all its failings and character, the spectators at Queensland Raceway probably still have more teeth
Than Winton?
No, than
Barber. Well, yes.
Yeah, than Birmingham, Alabama.
It is Alabama. So probably just every stigma around Alabama has just been made by us there.
It's okay, Jay will get the sternly worded letters, probably. Well, it is South Pole Racer for race number 2, as Reese Gardner is on the front row. Nathan Morecambe, Tim Harris, Braden Martin, Tim Cornt, Mitch Dean. Then it's Ashley Norman, Sebastian Flock, Marty Turner, Dan Yeaman, your race 1 winner. Ryan O'Sullivan is starting out of 11th. It's Matthew Brunt for 12th place.
Interesting thing there is Ryan O'Sullivan starting right with the group of guys he qualified with in this race, with them with the reverse group and him in 11th. Brady Baldwin will start from 13th with Thomas Hinz alongside Tom Wilkinson, Simon Mizzomo. As we go, they've caught us off guard again.
Yeah, Reese Gardner laying down some 11sies. A huge launch from the locked on guys. Both then have to back out of it a little bit, and Nathan Norman is going to carry on in a second. So great start, goes nowhere for those locked on guys. Cold tires from everyone all around, and Brady Baldwin's been tagged somewhere through all of that. There's one of the chicken up cars doing a bit of the mowing.
Zomo also around at the back too, so he's had some issues on lap 1. Tim Cornt side by side with Mitch Dean, Ashley Norman, Seb Flock.
3 wide through the hairpin, all sorts going on, and Mitch Dean right in there. Dan Yeaman immediately under pressure, starting from 10th place. It's a great launch in race 1. How's it going to work in race 2? He's still side by side through this museum section. And on lap 1, they've got to give themselves a bit of space. Ryan Sullivan gets a bit of a tag, and there's a huge car park at the museum. That's what the Google reviews told me too. Only room to park a 40-foot RV, and he's going to pick up a bit of damage. But O'Sullivan got a bit of a tag from behind, got a little sideways, caused a check-up, and they just pile in downhill. So the checkup all starts with side-by-side Yeaman and Chicken up. Oh, it's Hinsey who actually gets in there a little hot to kickstart it all.
Just comes from lap 1, turn 1 at that section, doesn't it? We've seen it time and time again. A few drivers deciding now's the time to pit, especially after potentially getting a bit of damage. Marty Turner in, Stuart Crawford in. Tim Harris and Mitch Dean change positions for third.
Up front, handy little buffer for your front row, Reece Gardner and Nathan Norman, as everyone got super aggressive behind them, including Mitch Dean, who's +3 positions right now. Got his elbows out 3 wide into the hairpin here on lap 1, past his teammate, and then picked up a couple others. Flock, Yeaman, O'Sullivan struggling to work their way through the field. Some of the really quick drivers of race number 1. They might be thinking long term on that strategy with the compulsory pit stop still in this one though. Backwards from Flock, and he's got some really competitive drivers right in behind him. This is where, you know, someone like Reece Gardner or Nathan Norman is praying for these guys to keep battling each other and give him just a couple more laps of reprieve before they're all up in his mirror and all along his rear bumper too.
We saw in the AM split, the Pro-Am split, that the guys that end up battling too hard cost themselves time and positions later on, especially with the likes of Marty Turner already jumping into the pits. The downfall for Turner is after about 17, 18 laps, his tyres are going to be absolutely shot. So he's going to have to work hard in that aspect and try and conserve tyres. But being able to get himself out into clean air is definitely better than finding yourself in these battle packs.
Sun's out, track temps up as well. This is kind of more the conditions I think we saw from the first split. So we look to the replay. We can look at replays all day. There's always so much going on. This is the race start. Get away from Sullivan, but in the middle here, sandwiched a little bit Baldwin.
And Mazomo. Mazomo got damage from that hit from Baldwin, who actually got hit from Tom Wilkinson. So drop bear into high octane into drop bear.
3 wide through turn 1. Everyone's got to give plenty of space, and there's only so much on offer. Didn't really see much malice or stupidity in that one.
It's just turn 1, lap 1. Standard incident, really, wasn't it? Yeaman was side by side with Norman coming down the hill into turn 7, but wasn't able to get it done. Couldn't get far enough across as Benjamin Brook loses a spot there to Dale Sharp. Oh, who's that in the background? Ira Felberg hits the curb, big slide, keeps in the throttle, keeps going forward.
Norman's just traded a bit of paint with Yeaman, and someone goes for pit lane amongst all of that. In the final sector, Tempest flaring. O'Sullivan's then going to go around the outside of him on the final corner to pick one off as well. Tim Cornt in pit lane. Some of the strongest drivers from race 1 are still here. From 7th place, 6th place on back. Flock, Yeaman, O'Sullivan. Got a little bit of locked on in front of them to maybe move their way through.
See where Tim Cornt comes out after his pit stop. Remember, Marty Turner right here has already made his stop. Stuart Crawford also made his on the previous lap as well. So Tim Cornt now leaving the box. He'll come out ahead by the looks, but not by too much.
Relatively tidy stop, all considered, for Tim Cornt. On the replay, this is Yeaman and Norman. Alright, that's a little cheeky.
Norman did have a bit of a compromised line, but yeah, Yeaman just a tiny little tap there and a little bit of a serve back. The driver that really takes advantage is Ryan O'Sullivan, now up into 8th.
Yeah, contentious, that part of the track, I think. It's just... You can have a huge amount of overspeed and very few places to take it. Here's a look. Dean at Nathan Norman for 2nd. Not getting around easily, and it's starting to form a bit of a train behind 2nd place here, not unlike what we saw in the earlier split too. All good news for Reece Gardner if they're going to battle and fight each other here. It's a defensive line from Norman to not let Mitch Dean get down the inside there, and then already looking to the right-hand side of the road for 7A, 7Z, 7 whatever. Given Americans' propensity for giving everything a sponsored name, I'm surprised it's not turned 7 up.
Yep. Being in this pack, if you were at the back there, the likes of O'Sullivan and Yeaman, would you pit this lap, knowing that you're going to get held up?
I reckon. Yeah, no, I think if you're someone like Yeaman, I don't know, but for O'Sullivan...
O'Sullivan's got the best pace of the lot by the looks, so for me,
I think you've got nothing to lose. I think you got nothing to lose there. He's still trying to pick him off one by one, and see, that then forces Yeaman offline a little bit. Yeaman could potentially pass Flock. Flock could potentially pass Yeaman, but the pressure goes forward from, it kind of seems like the fastest drivers at the back, and no one can quite afford to step out of line. Here's Nick Wood on the pit lane.
All they're doing is costing each other more time, wearing the tyres more aggressively. So yeah, I think they should be pitting. Compare lap times. Marty Turner did a 30.7 just then. 31.0 for Ryan O'Sullivan at the back of the group. The front of the group, Nathan Norman, is 31.6.
Not. Flock was well down the inside at the hairpin there, and I thought he was going to be able to get the spot. Flock, he's given up on that. So Yeaman's given up on that to try to get down the inside of Flock. Interesting. O'Sullivan's going to try to keep his nose in there. So Yeaman and Sebastian Flock know each other pretty well, and instead of Yeaman helping Flock get a bit further up the pack, Yeaman's used it opportunistically, giving him a little bit of a shaft, and said, no, it's my turn to try to salmon upstream here. Interesting tactics.
Nobody's pitting. Very surprised.
Well, maybe they did see how the tyres dropped off in the first race. Track still heating up past 30 Celsius now. A great day to be a front left tyre.
Previous lap, Ashley Norman was 1.3 seconds behind this group. He's now at the trail of the group and did the fastest lap in this group. These guys are losing too much time.
It's just bumper to bumper. Nathan Norman in second, back to Ashley Norman in ninth now. There's some other drivers on pit lane that are maybe going to stay out of that. Matthew Brunt. The good old YouTube chat. Oh, he is getting bullied hard in this pack now, isn't he? He's going to try to follow O'Sullivan to get one of those spots back. They're calling Nathan Norman the Minister of Defence.
Of course, being his team boss saying that, so of course he's going to say that. Sticking up for his team boss there, Brady Barber, who didn't have the best race tonight. As Mitch Dean has a look. That's a place you don't see too many overtakes into turn 9 into that switchback chicane. Mitch Dean thought about it for a second and then realised, no, you don't make overtakes there.
Yeah, he's just trying to make him uncomfortable, trying to set him up to then be weak through that section. He's right to his bumper here, which forces Norman to the shallow line, which I think might actually wear the tyres down a little bit more, trying to follow all the way to the right-hand side of the track, all the way through there, which is kind of what Norman's got to do, and then it puts him offline through the final one as well. Haven't seen many moves down towards turn 1, but I think Mitch Dean's grabbed a good run here, looking down the inside, and once one car gets through, I think they're going to tumble for Norman here. Oh, Mitch Dean's just going to help him off track. I don't think that's quite on. He's going to come back on, and I think with a point to prove here, Norman holding the inside and tries to give it right back to him. It's not going to work, and Mitch Dean's going to have the inside. I think everyone else behind is going to look to the left-hand side of the road. Look for Tim Harris to look that way. Look for Braden Martin to break on the grass and squander a good opportunity. Dan Yeaman throws his nose down the inside to take one away.
And have a look at the gap that Reece Gardner has now pulled away. 3.6 seconds while these guys fight amongst themselves. Reece Gardner has got the world in his hands at the moment because he's just driving away from the field. And these guys are just doing everything they can to slow themselves up.
Martin threw it in super deep into 7. Yeaman's tried to cross back underneath through the chicane segment. Now they're side by side through the next chicane. Ryan O'Sullivan thinking, I'm going to open this up and maybe wait for you guys to crash. So Mitch Dean threw in a second. Norman in third. All on here. Oh, and they're going to touch.
You could see that coming when it went 3 wide.
Wow. So much going on. Hard to pick it all out. No way to really pass here. It starts... Flock getting a run at O'Sullivan. Trying to go 2 for 1 is that
Norman.
chicken up.
That's Ashley Norman trying to go the 2 for 1, and track's just not wide enough for that.
No, I don't think it is. It's forced a couple more on a pit lane, like Ryan O'Sullivan. Or not just him, I think.
Yeah. Could be a blessing in disguise for O'Sullivan here.
It could be. I mean, for Norman, his last lap in the 32.5s, doing around that. Even
Marty Turner,
with
31 flat.
Yeah, even with the track heating up, into the 130s is possible. 2 or 3 laps, and they're not big laps around here. Okay, you go through the pit lane, you get your new tyres on, you give it a lap and a half, and you're going to be able to push faster than what they're doing in that train. Then you give it another 2 laps after that, and you've made up 5 seconds. So this is where O'Sullivan rejoins, right in behind Tim Corn.
He'll be disappointed he's come out right behind someone. He would have preferred to be just ahead, but he can get the heat into these front tyres very quickly. He'll be able to get the move done very quick as well. Look at that, straight away, straight through. So gap right now between he and Reece Gardner, 50 seconds. Here we go, Yeaman in, responding.
I rate that pit entry as well. It's Armco all around. There's a little sliver of grass to get you in trouble, but you're still, in this kind of circumstance, trying to do an undercut, got to attack the pit entry to really maximise all of that. Because he's got to cover off O'Sullivan. Not a whole lot of difference between where they were compared to each other when he pitted as well. Next driver, trying shape up on the 96. Tim Harris. That is just a super ambitious look. Nothing going on for him there.
Is that your noodles on the banner of that car there for Ben Snell?
What's he got?
Dave's Noodles.
Yeah, my noodles aren't for sale.
Copy.
What that is, and I'm not going to mix it with Milo either.
Imagine Milo with noodles.
No. I'll stick to putting it on ice cream. So, that pack that we had, a real train behind Nathan Norman in second, who was keeping it super clean, defending really well, has splintered a little bit. A couple drivers got into each other, a couple have gone for pit lane. Tim Harris, Seb Flock's now decided to pit from that group as well. Decided, nope, enough of this. 10 laps of us all trying to get past, not happening.
Can confirm that Seb Flock is chatting away with the drivers of Tom Wilkinson and also Dan Yeaman, so they probably realised Dan would have given the message, yeah, I've come out in clean air here. Might as well come in and pit. Ben Snell's followed in as well.
Snell's missed his mark. He had to grab reverse gear.
Interesting, since this group has sort of stopped fighting, the gap for the lead has dropped. It's now under 3 seconds.
Yeah, Reece has had very consistent pace up the front there as like mid 130s, while everyone behind was doing 32s and a little bit more as they fought each other. Now that Mitch Dean and others are unleashed, we know they can get to those 131 flats and just keep pulling 3-4 tenths a second a lap out of Reece. But he built himself a super handy buffer. I think a podium's still on, so long as he gets through the pit lane at the right time and cleanly.
I agree. I think podium's definitely a huge possibility here for Reece Gardner. Nathan Norman and Braden Martin have decided to come into the pits to cover off those guys as well. There's a little bit of a battle that I wouldn't see too much of these guys tonight, being Dale Sharp and Alex McKellar. Stella McKellar will be happy with some TV time.
Yeah, did I see his teammate Alex John in the chat earlier tonight, potentially as well?
Yep, definitely in there. He was harassing Brody Cook earlier for not having a Milo livery on his car.
It's a lot of salt and agitation tonight. Very tense, a lot on the line. Flock with those colder tyres to O'Sullivan is going to lose out a spot. As sitting down the inside of the penultimate corner, it's definitely a pass you see happen time to time, but the tyre difference was needed to pull it off. How about that launch? Not off the grid, but out of the pit box.
Braden Martin took off, didn't he? Did a great job of getting away and just slid into third of the cars that have pitted. Fastest in this group, though, still Ryan O'Sullivan.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing as the standing start. Norman just didn't get out of the pit box as he would have wanted. That was... Who was off the track there?
Dale Sharp. So here, McKellar side by side out of the hairpin. There's obviously been contact, but who's caused it?
So, McKellar, no nose ahead, no nothing, nope. Oh, that's just too much grass, too much curb. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to stop the car, turn the car, ride the curb, and it's just a little bit too much speed. Can't do any of the three. He gets himself into some trouble. Keller immediately goes for the pit lane. Ryan O'Sullivan's shaping up on Nathan Norman. Uh-oh. This is one where someone's got to give. Oh, they lean on each other just a little bit. Around the outside, a bit more speed comes Norman. He's going to hold on to that one because he just can't pass cleanly there, it seems. No one can do it. And brings Flock right back into this fight. So what he needed is to back a couple of cars up in front of him while he warmed up his tyres.
The only downfall
off the final corner
is have a look at the gap that they've lost to those guys ahead. They've just stretched out about a second in between each car. But here comes O'Sullivan through. Norman's going to lose one. And Flock and... Oh, Norman make wheel-to-wheel contact. Almost flush wheel-to-wheel, so there's no damage to either car.
Flock's got the horse all the way around the outside of the carousel, trying to hold on. Gets a little bit of help to the grass, but he's not going to give up. He's not going to lift. And he goes through as well. The thing about being the Minister for Defence, once they reach your first line, can keep on going on. Reece Gardner's leading this one, 2.5 seconds to Mitch Dean. Dean pulled 6/10 out of him on the last lap, and I suspect it'll probably be about the same here. So for Gardner, what do you do? I reckon once Dean or Harris or any of these start to catch you, that's when you make that call to pit. You don't waste your time trying to battle with them.
I think when it gets to a second, that's the time to come in.
Yeah, I reckon keep going. Good clean track right now. Run it a little deeper into the race, but, get out of Dodge once someone like a Mitch Dean or a Tim Harris or an Ashley Norman starts to close you up.
As soon as you start getting pressure from behind, legitimately from behind, that's the time to come in before something potentially could happen to ruin your race that's out of your control.
It's only your top 7 that haven't pitted at the moment. Highest running car that has made his stop is Daniel Yeaman, and the fact that Marty Turner and Braden Martin and Ryan O'Sullivan are all fighting each other, I think is helping him. But O'Sullivan, who I think might have had the pace for Yeaman, if we're honest with ourselves, has been held up and just had to battle a couple more cars based on the timing of that pit stop. His Wood and Hinz and Brunt, they've all pitted down 15th, 16th and 17th. Ben Snell on the back here as well.
We've said this about Ozicar time and time again, that it doesn't matter where you are in the field, you got to find someone to battle with.
Yep, and Hinz gets down the inside. Good momentum. He's got his nose in front, but once again, he's round the outside, and now that Wood has his nose in front...
Oh, Pitter's at the front.
You have to give up on that. Yep, your top 2 in. Gardner and Dean on the same lap. Both of them hoping for a clean run through the pit lane. There was only about a second between them when they entered the pit lane, and someone hit the arm coat. Oh, was it especially Norman. He's been very gutsy on the pit entry here, and oh no. So easily done. Super tight.
Front tyre out.
Yep, couldn't even limp it front wheel drive to his pit box and had to get it towed. That is rough. 10 to go in this race. Tried to take a really aggressive pit entry, and it hadn't quite worked out for him. There's Gardner rolling. There's Mitch Dean rolling. Here is Daniel Yeaman pitted pretty early with that clean air. Still not going to be in front of Reece Gardner, but he is going to be in front. Mitch Dean.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds. And that's about the amount of time that you need to warm up your tyres. That's about the gap you'll lose just to warm up your tyres. So this is going to be on for the lead, the effective lead here between Reece Gardner and Dan Yeaman.
Yeaman pitted 5 laps ago. Worked out pretty well for him. He pitted 1 lap later than Ryan O'Sullivan, and that little amount extra and the little sideways moment that O'Sullivan had had earlier in the race has made all the difference with the traffic, the track position, and the timing of the pit stops. Only 2 drivers haven't stopped. It's Tim Harris and Daniel Sharp. Oh, Ben Snell's trying to make it 3 wide on the live pictures right now as we go to a replay. And it is Ryan O'Sullivan. So on the inside of the designated overtaking place.
So he gets through on Braden Martin, and Seb Flock tried to come through as well, but couldn't quite get it done.
Yeah, but this was side by side between Wood and Brunt, and Snell is thinking, nope. Looked one way, looked the other, hoping both of them would run each other off the road maybe. Oh, and he almost does it to himself. I didn't see that on the live pictures as he tried to cut back underneath Brunt. Not boring, never boring for anyone, never boring for the lead, nothing in it. Yeaman in position to attack. How hard is Gardner going to defend this one? 5 laps fresher tyres for Gardner could make a difference at the end here. It is a defensible position at Barber Motorsports Park.
It is a track that you can just defend the whole way around. It is a track that if you have good speed and consistent pace, you can defend your spot and defend your line. But leave yourself open a tiny little bit like this, you have to forgive up the spot. Daniel Yeaman through to the effective race lead.
And still 9 to go. There's a bunch of cars behind as well that have a quicker personal best.
Marty Turner's in a little bit of trouble. I remember he pitted really early in this race. He pitted 14 laps ago on lap 3. So he is one that needs to be a little bit more careful around tyre life, tyre conservation. Mitch Dean pitted the previous lap. Ryan O'Sullivan 7 laps ago. Braden Martin 4 laps ago. So Marty Turner could drop quite a few spots right at the end of this race.
Got his teammate behind him at the moment as well, just to keep things spicy. At the moment, Marty Turner rules the roost. Mitch Dean, way fresher tyres, like you said, with the pace to attack Reece Gardner, maybe even the pace to roll with Yeaman and attack him as well. Dean's got fresher tyres than Yeaman does too. No team orders yet. They've got, and if they're going to swap, they've got to do it quick, because here comes O'Sullivan and Braden Martin and Sebastian Flock, and it's not happening. Or is it? Almost helping him wide. Almost helping him wide. Just in time for O'Sullivan to have a strong run with both of them as well. Ben Snell is side by side with Nick Wood again. Just a corner or so behind. Can't make it happen. O'Sullivan tight line there. And Wood's got to defend every single which way, and it's starting to stack up some cars behind. When you've got drivers with pretty equal race pace, uh-oh. Who did that line earlier? Snell? No, wait, no, not Snell.
It was Norman, was it not? Nathan Norman. No? I can't remember.
Well, it's not new. Stuart Crawford and Alex McKellar look like they could be side by side there, but McKellar lifts a little bit. Snell's got his positions and he's moving forward up front. Still waiting on the final pit stop from Tim Harris and Dale Sharp in third. having done his service. Yeaman. Gardner still within a second of him. And this fussing and fighting behind could once again play to the advantage of someone up front with some clean air. Flock's got his nose down the inside of Braden Martin. I think this might be two South Australians locking horns here as well.
Yep, definitely. Two Adelaide boys going at it. Flock's not going to be able to, but Sullivan tries and is successful. Nice move.
We are seeing that old tyre struggle start to set in for Marty Turner there. And it's that little difference that means when O'Sullivan gets down the inside, he can still get the drive off that corner to be clear to take the racing line through the next one and say, that's done. I can look forward now. Tim Harris is going to stop. What about Dale Sharp? I think you see him continuing on there. He's going to run deep into this one. Lead a lap, why not? Nick Woods off.
Again,
how did he
2 in a row.
get there?
That's 2 laps in a row he's ended up in that spot.
If he did the same thing, this better be something different.
The amount of gap there is between cars everywhere there, I think it's the same again. Yep. You can actually see his...
Oh.
Was that Stuart Crawford and Alex McCullough almost ran into him there?
He was right in that battle, and then 2 mistakes, 2 laps. That's all it takes. It's getting hot up front. Braden Martin having held on to his spot from Flock. Their little battle let Tim Harris and Nathan Norman close up a bit.
Mitch Dean actually starting to close up on Reece Gardner and Dan Yeaman as well.
Yeah, Yeaman and Gardner suspiciously close here. And I'm looking into my crystal ball, and I reckon Nathan Norman's on for 2 consecutive 9th place finishes inside the top 10. But this is effectively the lead of the race. Missing that apex by... how do they measure things in Alabama? A bit.
Probably furlongs.
So, has Yeaman got to save a bit of fuel? What's going on? His pace seems to have dropped.
Remember, his tyres are 5 laps older than both Gardner and Dean, so maybe he's just making sure his tyres are perfect to the end. He pitted before the halfway point.
Well, he's gone from a 30 flat to a 31.5, 1 lap to the next without any traffic. He's lost a second and a half like that 1 lap to the next. Is there any hint of a lifty coasty? Is he managing something? Looks like it to me. Am I wrong? No?
No, I don't think so. Doesn't sound like it.
Well, it brings your lead of the race to within half a second. This is it. Yeaman from Gardner, who is not going to give Dean an opportunity. Just taking the defensive line into 7. Just making it oh so clear that I've got that covered off. Oh, but it's Reece Gardner under a fair chunk of pressure. And Mitch Dean oh so close.
Ryan O'Sullivan's starting to close on these guys too. He's only 2 seconds back now as Dale Sharp comes in the pits.
Oh, Braden Martin, where are you going? And I think Flock is redressing that one. I think Flock knows what he did. You can sort that one out at 2 a.m. in the car park of the Watermark Hotel. I don't know. I don't know many other Adelaide landmarks.
Aren't there those big ball things in the Mall, in the Rundle Mall?
Oh, Rundle Mall, yeah. Yep. Not sure that's quite the location for a fight. But Dale Sharp is in pit lane, and that means everyone's cleared off their pit stops, and now it's Yeaman, Gardner, Mitch Dean for the lead of the race here. Back to a 1:31 for Yeaman, so he's found just an itty bit more pace now.
Same lap time pretty much between the the top 4 cars. So 31 flat, 31.1, 30.9, 31.1. So not much between all of them. But this is what's happened between Flock and between Braden Martin. And just a sneaky, tiny little bit of contact push rub there. He goes, whoops, shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, he was hoping he could get around the outside, but the door closed and bumper to a bit of bumper. So what a go. And James got the lead, but not running away with it like we would have expected. He caught Reece Gardner in a hurry. And then what?
He broke nearly a second, didn't he? And then it's just gone. In 2 laps, it just disappeared. Now, Gardner doesn't know whether to attack or defend, because if he attacks and gets it wrong, he drops back to 3rd. If he defends too aggressively, he drops back to 3rd. Defends too aggressively, loses an opportunity to take the lead.
Tough to be the middle child. I reckon Mitch Dean's got some overlap here, and Gardner knows he can't walk it across any further to the left. He's got to throw it in deep into turn 1 here and hope he can cover off Mitch Dean, and he can. Right thing to do when it forces the other driver to take a very shallow entry. Hold the inside there. Still on though. Again, Gardner's got to defend that inside from Mitch Dean. Starting to bring the pressure off Yeaman just a little bit. You know, everyone knows by now you've really got to focus on your exit off 6 to make sure that you can cover the inside into 7 as well. Whether you're attacking or defending, it's a must.
Sullivan didn't quite gain any time on that lap or on the previous as well, so his pace has stabilised back to the same as Yeaman's. Remember, they pitted a lap apart from each other. Gardner and Dean on the fresher tyres. Mitch Dean, huge moment, and still keeps the foot in it.
Yeah, and behind them, it's all starting to line up behind Marty Turner as well, whose tyres are 21 laps old. Tim Harris has caught him, looking for some attack. I think Nathan Norman, Braden Martin, and Flock are gonna close this up as long as Martin and Flock can avoid locking bumpers again. Time begins to run out for them. You got Crawford, Wilkinson, and Alex McKellar battling 14th, 15th, and 16th again. Ryan O'Sullivan in 4th, the only driver not within a second of someone else. Mitch Dean, does he have any more overlap? That's even less overlap than last time he tried to have it deep down the inside of turn 1. It's really taking the pressure off Yeaman as Mitch Dean tries to get pressure on Reece Gardner. He's caught, and Hinz, 10th and 11th. Hinz is down the inside. Job done.
Oh, 4 wide, if you don't mind. That's Tom Wilkinson going for the grass. McKellar through. Speaking of through, Mitch Dean up the inside, but not quite able to get clear of Reece Gardner, and Gardner's got the inside for the chicane.
Southpaw Racer has got some good momentum trying to defend a podium. It's the kind of thing that would let O'Sullivan catch them. But it's well done. That's well executed, and he held the track position. Daniel Yeaman not leaping as far away as you'd expect, but this is starting to truly train a little bit as those tyres are crying enough for Marty Turner. He's just got to get them another lap and a half to try to hold on to that 5th place. And again, it's that kind of circumstance where if he loses one spot, if he lets one car through, it'll throw him offline, cost him time, and there'll be wave after wave crashing over him.
Marty Turner is doing a great job to make these tyres last. I'll tell you what, Mitch Dean, very, very clever there, making it work, not quite.
O'Sullivan managed to make it work at the end of race number 1, but Dean just wasn't quite in the right spot. Daniel Yeaman leads, looking for a clean sweep potentially here at Barber. I don't see either of these two catching him now that they are elbows out, boxing gloves on for the final lap of Barber.
What a great battle it's been, regardless of which way this falls. This has been a great battle. Good drive from Reece Gardner to pull away, and a great drive from Mitch Dean to come back. And these two, when they've fought, have kept it extremely clean. They've rubbed, but they haven't pushed each other out of the way. They haven't been too aggressive. They've just left enough racing room to have the elbows out, but still play on.
It's all happening on Gardner's terms, though. You saw how early he said, I'm going to have the inside into 6. Let him hold the inside into 7, and saw last time. There's just nowhere good and clean to pass between here and the end of the lap unless the guy in front has a big mistake. You can get a hell of a run here. Led to incidents in the past, and that's a bit of a Mitch Dean line there. Not the first time he's been out to that little bit of runoff. Yeaman has no pressure on him. Just needs to keep it on the pavement. Gardner, he's going to have to defend this one to the inside, take that narrow line, and again, he's slow in there. Oh, and he holds the inside, and they touch just a little bit. If Dean tried to carry speed in to get down the inside on the final corner, this will be the drag race to the line then as well. I fancy Gardner's chances if he can keep the tyres, the drive tyres on the paved stuff, and he will hold on a second. Great battle, clean racing between those three.
What a great fight, and well done to Marty Turner getting those tyres to hold on for 22 laps. Absolutely incredible. Thomas Hinds also 22 lap old tyres and gets himself back into the top 10 after a horrible night. He'll be happy with the redemption, but won't be happy with how the night's unfolded. But well done, Dan Yeaman, our first back-to-back winner in the series.
Yeah, it's a track that's tough to pass. That top 10 invert makes it difficult. The timing on the pit stop was to perfection, wasn't it? I mean, you pit too early to try to get out of the traffic. You run out of tyres at the end. You pit too late, and you've been undercut by those who, got some clean air on their nose earlier. One lap later, he would have been about where O'Sullivan was. Just enough tyre in the first half, just enough tyre in the second half. There's a bit of luck in that, but there's a little bit of art to the science. Him and Reece Gardner and Mitch Dean all flying around in formation on the cool down lap, so I think they're all pretty happy with how their races went respectively. Now the top three, Ryan O'Sullivan in fourth from Martin Turner, Tim Harris, Nathan Norman, Braden Martin, Sebastian Flock, and Thomas Hinds.
We go over the page with Tim Cornt in 11th, with Ben Snell just behind, Matthew Brunt just behind there as well. Then we've got the next group of McKellar, Wilkinson, Sharp, and Nick Wood all together. Ira Felberg, the last driver on the lead lap. Stuart Crawford had an issue and hit the fence with 2 laps to go. Brady Baldwin came back out after his lap 1 issue. Then races of what might have been for Ashley Norman, Benjamin Brook, Ryan Jones, and Simon Mazzomo. What a fun night of racing.
Yeah, I think, track that's tough to pass, but challenging and does elicit mistakes, across the curbs and needs the kind of racecraft where you're setting things up corners and corners in advance. Not bad racing at all. Barber, a good pick. The good kind of mid-sized circuit for these kind of cars. You don't really want to be racing in a car park that's too cramped, and honestly, the slipstream might be a little too powerful at some other tracks, but this is right in the middle of it. Is that registration 120DS? Is that what it looks like it says to you?
I'm pretty sure that's what it says, but I'll get a shot of it again soon.
Because I looked it up, and the US registration N120DS belongs to a Diamond Light aircraft that was registered in 2002 and has had it since then. So fake news on the helicopter boom. No way that helicopter's registered N120DS. Anyway, let's talk to hopefully our pretty delighted podium. We got all three of them standing by. Mitch Dean has the spooneristic username of Ditch Mean, but he didn't ditch Reece Gardner, and he wasn't too mean. On the podium there, fighting oh so hard right at the end, but Barber's a tough place to pass.
Yeah, it's super tricky. It was good battling with Reece there for basically the whole of second race. I thought I managed to do it in the pit stop, but then missed my pit box by about a foot, so I had to back up a bit, and we were back to even Stevens. But yeah, pretty good race overall.
Yeah, certainly track position oh so critical. No one could get around the Norman that's not your teammate in the early bits there, and I'm sure all of you, I could hear the cogs turning like, I want to get out of this traffic and I can't get past, but it feels too early to pit. And definitely the tyres seemed to, have 18 laps in them when this is a 24-lap race.
Yeah, for sure. We, after round 1 and 2, kind of realised what the pit strategy was with the tyres, especially with the Elantra. It didn't seem to be too bad on TCR in previous years, but obviously the tyres are ever evolving. but yes, we didn't know what the strategy was. I was trying to get past, I think it's Nathan Norman, but already in a pretty good position. Didn't want to risk it too much, especially with the points and the championship and stuff. So I sort of tried to get past without being too risky. And then once I got past him, I was slowly gaining on Reese. And yeah, it was really, really good fun. Probably one of my favourite races so far.
Yeah, absolutely. That top 10 invert seems to keep everyone honest in the second race as well.
Sure. Yeah, no, I really like that element because especially when it's as close as it was tonight, you have people that are slightly slower, not enough to make a big difference, but yeah, it really makes you work for it. And for a track like Barber, yeah, you kind of have to really be at your best to have a decent result.
Yeah, it makes clean sweep not a walk in the park, and whoever gets that win has to, actually get out there and race for it. Well, congratulations to you on that podium and double top 10 finish. You Chicken Up guys look to be in it for the long haul, thinking about that team's championship too.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we were saying going into tonight. We had not our best week last week, but it was consistent, and I think we jumped up like 10 positions in the team's championship. And obviously, there's some pretty quick guys in this league, so yeah, it was good we're just really focusing on that team's championship, working together. Tonight started off pretty well. Obviously, the other boys ran into some issues with, I think Ash Norm hit the wall in pit entry, and Marty had a bent steering, but they managed to do their best. And yeah, I guess we'll just look forward to next week.
Yeah, know what we mean when we say you got to attack pit entry.
Yeah, that's it. Too aggressive and you could be in trouble.
I'll brush up on your German, catch you next week at Hockenheimring.
Thank you. Not my favourite track, but I'll definitely be practicing this week. Thanks very much, guys.
Mitch Dean, third place in the feature race for Chicken Up Racing. His front bumper putting a lot of pressure to the man who finished in second place. It's the Southpaw racer, Reese Gardner. This race went a little differently than the first two rounds, I feel, with how much more critical track position was. That inverted top 10 gave you a good little breakaway.
Yeah, exactly. I initially at the end of race 1, I was pressuring Nathan Norman because I figured, I got a good chance of getting 10th and race 2 pole, sorry. But then there was the incident between Hinsey and Ashley Norman, and that basically gifted me 10th position. So I backed off from that. And yeah, from race 2's perspective, it was just a case of trying to keep the car clean. Unfortunately, when I was on cold tyres, just out of the pits, Dan was right behind me, so I couldn't really defend against him when he went for it.
And what did you see there when Yeaman came out of the pits behind you, or was he just in front of you? Anyway, he had a lot more speed there, and then it seemed to really plateau.
Yeah, well, he obviously pitted early. Like, when I came out of the pits, I wasn't sure whether or not he'd taken his stop yet, but when I saw how on it he was, and of course I was still getting the fronts heated up, I just thought there was not much I could do to keep him behind, especially if he decided to go for the move coming into that downhill chicane, which is, very difficult to defend against if you go in two side by side. But, further on in the race, his tyres burnt off, and I tried my best to try and put a move on him, but Mitch was putting pressure on me, and this track's just really hard to pass on anyway.
Yeah, monitoring those curbs to 2 top 10s and a podium in the feature race. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thanks to iRap Designs, who painted our car, Fusion Sim Racing.
There you go. And, well, call him Mr. Barber Motorsports Park. Clean sweep from Dan Yeaman. What do you put it down to in that second race? Was it luck of the draw, finding the right lap to pit?
A little bit, yeah. I was really sort of contemplating when I was going to come into the pit there with a couple of guys, sort of just thinking about, well, I'm sitting in this pack for 7th or thereabouts. The guys ahead were certainly scrapping on their own as well, so couldn't really afford to stay behind them all too long because Reese was just steadily building out that gap, especially I think it was like lap 5 or lap 6 where it really went off there. Actually, it might have been, possibly lap 8. That was a slow lap for me, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the one there. But yeah, so like just Reese was able to keep building that gap, and I knew I had to cut the losses, come in early, and gamble on fast laps and got some clean air to do fast laps, and then just defend from the front. But still had to get past Reese there once the pit cycle completed itself.
Yeah, track definitely heated up a lot from race number 1 to the end of race number 2, and long loaded corners. Do they seem to eat these TCR tyres?
Starting to feel it at the end of the second race there, yeah. So that the combination of the track temperature and then the track characteristics was very much in mind. Just whilst I wanted to push, couldn't afford to go completely bonkers qualifying style. Needed to look after that left front for sure.
Well, there were some other drivers with some strong pace, but you put the whole package together today. So congratulations. Who'd you like to thank?
Thanks, David. To the boys at Drop Air Motorsport, thanks for all of them being part of the team and repping the team colour as well. Especially also the guys who came out off the back of Daytona tonight and at Daytona this weekend to come back out and race tonight. Appreciate it. To all the team partners on the car and Coast Engineering Solutions, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Simulations and Revolution Race Gear, big thanks to all of them for continuing to support the team as we get 2022 off to a good start here. And then always, to the Ozicar team, great to be able to be part of the series here for the first season for me personally, and then to you boys at SimSpeed, great to have the series on broadcast and watch it back afterwards when the racing's all done here.
See you at Hockenheim next week.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully put in another good result, but definitely a few fast faces absent tonight, so we'll question marks on that one for the time being.
Radio, thank you. Race 1 winner, Race 2 winner, clean sweeping the round, Dan Yeaman. Well, don't know if Jay Kennedy's recovered, but that just about wraps up everything from Barber. Oh, it's more like the Hungaro ring. Jay, why'd you tell me Hockenheim? Just make sure. Okay, all right. Well, just make sure you book your flight to Europe, and we look forward to seeing you all next Monday night here on SimSpeed TV as Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series continues. Thank you, 24/7 Race Control, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, Sim Racing Leagues, and the Locked On iRacing podcast. Me and Jay got our episodes out on there now, so worth a listen, maybe. So wherever you're watching us on SimSpeed TV, be it across Facebook or YouTube, make sure you follow us to catch all the great broadcasts coming up. Like we say, Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series next Monday night. This Thursday is Skip Barber Series as well, among many other leagues and competitions that we cover here on SimSpeed. You're not going to want to miss that either. From all of us here then, that's good night and all from Barber Motorsports Park.